Hello everyone, good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, Srishti.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay, so good evening everyone and welcome to this session, Sankalp. Are you all excited for today's session?
Yes.
So we are having Kalpesh and Sakshi. So guys, CA final related जो भी queries, जो भी doubts या whatever the questions you all are having in your mind, this is your golden opportunity to ask and clear everything out. Because CA final बहुत important है, हम सबको पता है. So जितने भी questions है, जो भी doubts है, queries है, ये दोनों as friends आपके साथ यहाँ पर आए हैं बात करने के लिए. So कुछ भी आपके मन में नहीं रखिएगा, like no second thought कि मैं ये पूछूं या नहीं पूछूं. Be it any silly question, you can ask. Okay, so we'll wait for 5 more minutes for more other people to join. Till that, audience से थोड़ा पूछते हैं कि like कौन से attempt के हो majorly यहाँ पे जो audience है कोई बोल सकते हो like which attempt you are giving for final. Okay, so 24, 25, November 25, May 24. Great. So sorry, actually my connection was lost. ग्रेट सो काफी मतलब मे 25 26 ऐसे भी सारे अटेम्प्ट है हमारे पास में स्टूडेंट्स हैं. सो एवरीवन आपको जस्ट एक ब्रीफ दे देती हूँ इन्फॉर्मेशन रिगार्डिंग आर माई स्टूडेंट क्लब. सो अगर हमने इसके पहले एक सीए इंडस्ट्रियल ट्रेनिंग वाला एक सेमिनार या यू कैन कॉल इट अ वेबिनार हमने वो भी ऑर्गेनाइज किया था. सो इन दैट वी एक्सप्लेन लाइक व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज माई स्टूडेंट क्लब. सो आई विल लाइक टू टेल यू मोर अबाउट दैट. माई स्टूडेंट क्लब एक स्टूडेंट कम्युनिटी है, एक ऐसा स्टूडेंट प्लेटफॉर्म है जहाँ पर आप अपने सारे थॉट्स एक्सप्रेस कर सकते हो एंड यू कैन ऑल्सो इंटरेक्ट विद अदर फेलो सीए स्टूडेंट्स अलॉन्ग विद यू. एमएससी बहुत सारे लाइक ऐसे सेशंस तो ऑर्गेनाइज करता ही रहेगा. लाइक वी हैड द सीए इंडस्ट्रियल ट्रेनिंग प्रिपरेशन सेशन last time. We are having CA final session and we will carry on this session process and we'll having more such sessions like this. And we are having a lot more portals like articleship placement portal, CA industrial training portal. So ऐसे काफी सारे portals भी है. You can surely check out. I'll request anyone to please put it in the chat box our telegram link of our group. So everyone you could also connect there. I think हमारे जो आज के दो main guest है, the guest speakers, they are also joined. Okay, so I welcome you, Kalpesh and Sakshi. Team MSC welcomes you, and we are very happy and honored to have you both here.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, thank you so much.
Okay, so before formally starting with the session, I would just like to give a brief introduction regarding our session and the idea behind this session today. So, the idea behind naming this as Sankalp is Sankalp means a resolution, like a resolution to become a chartered accountant. And CA final is का सबसे important step है. Like recently half CA हम सबने देखी है. I don't think कोई होगा यहाँ जिन्होंने नहीं देखी है half CA. So उसमें like all the struggles have been shown. So ये एक हमारा resolution है to be a chartered accountant and to clear the finals and all the levels of the examination. So guys, जैसे मैंने आप लोगों को पहले भी बोला था, whatever the questions or any doubts you all are having, please be free to ask both don't hesitate. And I think Sakshi and Kalpesh will be also glad and happy to help you out. Okay. So first of all, I would like to introduce Kalpesh. You all must be knowing is a AIR2 in CA final May 2023 attempt. And one thing I would also like to say personally, like 78 marks in audit. Audit is a nightmare of each and every student, and you got 78 marks. So surely that is also one thing we'll be talking about forward the session. He has completed his articleship from Suri and Co. Chennai. And over to you, Kalpesh. Do you want to add anything to this?
Yeah, I just want to agree with the fact that yeah, audit is a pain. And on a Sunday evening to hear about why audit is a pain, I think first of all, thanks for attending and coming. Sunday evening probably would want to go out, hang out with your friends or family and such. But taking out the time just shows. I mean, it's a very great thing. Because I think it's a very great initiative also by the community out there. So yeah, I'll just thank everyone for attending this section. I think during the course, I think I'll have a lot to share. So looking forward to that.
Thank you so much, Kalpesh. Purva, you could go forward.
Yeah, so we have another speaker as Sakchi Jain. Many of you might know her. So she is very active on the LinkedIn. So basically, let me introduce her. She has cleared all the levels of the CA in the very first attempt. She is the finance and the business content creator with 31K plus followers on LinkedIn. Yeah, so that is so huge. And also, she has recently opened her YouTube channel where she posts short videos on finance. Yeah. So, Sakshi, over to you. You want to add anything? Like, in case I have missed it. Sakshi, your mic is mute.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Thank you for such a wonderful introduction. It's a pleasure being a part of this session, and like it's a very generally CA students do not have a community where they could share problems because at this time they don't have many friends who are together to help them to solve the doubts. So this would be a great platform to help them.
So, I think we should begin.
Yeah.
Over to you,
Yes.
Shristi.
Absolutely, Sakshi, as you said, this is a community where everyone is a friend to everyone. You could also talk and interact with more such mentors that we are having on our platform. And everyone be free and to share your thoughts and all your emotions that you are having. I would request everyone, if possible, to please put on your cameras. Okay, so proceeding with the session, I like to ask you, Kalpesh, ki like, कैसी थी आपकी जर्नी फाउंडेशन इंटर एंड देन सीए फाइनल सो हाउ लॉन्ग और क्या सोच के मतलब आपने डिसाइड किया कि लाइक यू वुड बी अ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट और व्हाट वाज योर इंस्पिरेशन
Yeah, see, there was actually no inspiration. I mean, for me, doing CA was never a hard plan when I was doing my 11th or 12th. CA I just finished my accounts 12th ka exam. And then one fine day after the exam, my father comes to me and says, "What are you going to do? Kya karne wala?" Like, so I was like, I have no idea. So I just go online, search some of the courses. CA looks very respectable. You have good return on investment. And then on 31st of March, which is the last date for registering CPT June attempt, I go to the institute and register myself for CPT. So as this, there was no plan to enter into CA once I did it, and that was also like, see if chalega, if I clear CPT, let's continue, or else let's do something else. So by the time the board result had come, I had to apply for colleges. I had given my CPT. I did not know whether I'll clear up CPT. So I was like, let's join a very good college because my 12th academics were also a little better. So I joined up a college because I think I would have flunked my CPT is what the thought process was. And fortunately, I ended up clearing CPT. Now, a bigger headache would be now to even manage inter and college because I was sure that CA is something abhi to aise hi chalu kar diya. I don't think I'll be able to sustain in the long term. Then what happens? The first year of my college, I think, would be the difficultest year in my life, I would say, because 7 to 1 would be my inter classes, 2 to 7 would be my college. I had to get up at 5. And by the time I come, it would be around 8, 8:30, have dinner, 9:30, the whole day goes. So this went on for like 9 months. And so I just decided to give group one only by then, because I knew that I could not manage both the groups with having a regular college. I give group one in May 2018. And after giving group one, irrespective of the result come, I decide that I will quit CA, because I am not going to do CA because it's very frustrating at this point of time. I clear group one in May 18. I just announced that I'm not going to continue with this course. So November 18, I did not give any attempt. So then after a few days, my parents come and talk to me that you've come so far. One group clear ho gaya. Just try group two. If it doesn't work, ultimately that's your call. So Jan 19 only I sit back and start studying for group two. May 19 I clear group two. In between, when I decided to take break until I give my May 19 ka group two ka exam, there is something, a big change happened where I started attending a lot of intercollegiate fests, because I was already attending them in the school. I missed it a lot in my first year. And then when I cleared my May 19, I had one whole year to do so. So over the period of those 2 years, I attended almost a 70 odd fest, which brought immense change in me. And it gave a new perspective to what other people also think. So I think if you're in college and I think you will have the luxury of doing this, please don't miss it. Then after May 2020, when my college got over, now you had to start articleship. That is when I became a little serious about CA, because this much time it was just कि हो जाएगा तो ठीक है, वरना तो we'll do something, कुछ कर लेंगे. Ultimately, I had a little cushion that I can fall onto my father's business, though I did not like it. I always had that cushion. So then I became a little serious from May 20 when I started my articleship. And then eventually, obviously, since I was not a rank holder and gave both the groups separately with a break in the between, rank was like, it was like a very far-fetched ambition for me. But then over the course of time, it just happened. In December 2022, I think I went into my exam week. So 1st of January, I just saw a video that time, in 15th or 16th of January 2023, the results of November 2022 came in. And there was a girl who got, I don't know which rank she told me I never had a rank in inter, no foundation rank. In fact, she also gave her intermediate separately, but she just wanted a rank in the final. And she told you have to be mad for something you want to achieve it. And I think from that day, I started aspiring for a rank. But as the day progressed, say eventually into second or third month, like rank तो अभी नहीं आने वाली है. लगता है कि rank तो दूर की बात है, pass हो जाए तो बहुत ज़्यादा है. So, but yeah, the efforts were there. I believe consistency is something which took me through the next 120 days. And then on the day of results, I just called up my friend like half an hour before the results, and I just talked to him. I'll be worth to get 400. If I get 400, I'll be the happiest person on the earth. And 10 minutes after the call, I get a call from the president of ISA saying that you said you're an All India rank 2. And I still feel that call wasn't very convincing, because I asked the president, give me some evidence that you are the president of ICI. So I don't know what crept inside me, but I asked that question. He told the results will be out in any moment. For the 10 seconds, I was very numb whether this is true or not, what is happening. And then eventually result came. And then after seeing the result and then confirming everywhere, I decided to go and text in some of my friends. But I had understood that the institute had released the press, the notification, 1, 2, 3 ka, and people had already started congratulating me. I did not even realize that. So yeah, that was a very small glimpse of my CA journey as to how it started. But at the end of the day, for people who are aspiring CA, I would just like to say one thing: nothing is impossible. I think if I can get a rank, I think a lot of people. See, from my background, just think from where I came from, giving 2 groups, I decided to quit CA, then getting a single digit rank, that too. I did not have a rank in any from previous attempt. I think it's all about the mindset that changed because of that one talk which I heard of a ranker. And of course, from there, I just wrote AR1 in a piece of paper and kept it inside my drawer. And after a few months, when I looked after that, it showed me that you have to imagine, you have to aspire. I think everything is possible. Just have the aspiration. It is not what you are capable, you should aspire. What you want is something you should aspire, is what I feel. So that is what a brief journey about my CA has been.
Such a surreal journey, Kalpesh. Like, मतलब सच में कि 400 मार्क्स आ जाए भगवान बचा ले. I heard you saying in BD sir's interview too कि भगवान 400 मार्क ला दे तो ही बहुत है. From that to getting an All India rank 2, it's indeed very great of you. So, okay. we'll ask many more questions ki like कैसे ये journey आपने proceed की and what are your study related things in the further section. Now I would like to
Yeah.
ask Sakshi कि आपकी journey कैसी थी?
Yeah, hi. Like how Kalpesh said कि consistency is the key और एक बार वो mindset हो तो anything is possible. Seriously, मतलब आई एम वेरी मच इंस्पायर्ड बाय हिम कि दो ग्रुप अलग अलग देख के जस्ट वो लास्ट के 6 मंथ्स में वो इट्स ग्रेट मतलब तो मेरा तो लाइक मेरा भी ऐसा कुछ स्टार्टिंग में ऐसा इट वाज नॉट डिसाइडेड कि आई विल परस्यू सीए बस वो फ्रेंड्स कर रहे थे कि क्या ऑप्शन है कॉमर्स ले लिया है तो वो चक्कर में ही सीए किया था मतलब ऐसा कोई ऑप्शन नहीं था घर में एक दो सीएस थे तो हाँ ठीक है कर लेते हैं वैसे करके बस फाउंडेशन नवंबर 2018 में दिए थे एंड देन उसके बाद कॉलेज का थोड़ा वही था कि कॉलेज कैसा कॉलेज जाना है मतलब आइदर या तो दो ऑप्शन था या तो या यहाँ पे होम टाउन में ही रहो या फिर बाहर जाओ मतलब तो पता नहीं मेरे को ऐसा लगा कि बाहर जाके पढ़ना मे बी हम मे बी डिस्ट्रैक्ट हो जाए या कुछ तो आई डिसाइडेड कि यहीं रांची में रह के पढ़ना फिर आई जॉइन जेवियर्स कॉलेज के साथ इंटरमीडिएट का प्रिपरेशन फिर चल रहा था बीच में आई डिसाइडेड टू क्विट कॉलेज कि सीए बनना ही है अब कॉलेज का डिग्री का क्या करेंगे इंटरमीडिएट क्लियर हो जाए तो वो इक्विवेलेंट ही है इंटरमीडिएट के एंड देन कोविड आ गया तो फिर लकीली कॉलेज सबको वो सेमेस्टर में पास कर दिया ऑल्दो आई मिस्ड दैट एग्जाम क्योंकि आई थॉट टू लीव कॉलेज तो कोविड की वजह से हम उसमें पास हो गए तो फॉर्चुनेटली मेरे पास अब सीए का डिग्री भी और कॉलेज का डिग्री भी आ गया इवन दो आई डिड नॉट गिव द एग्जाम्स फिर वैसे ही बस लाइक फिर आर्टिकलशिप एंड कॉलेज सब चल रहा था साथ में वही 9 to 5 सुबह से रात तक वो एक जो फेज रहता है वो कॉलेज के साथ आर्टिकलशिप एंड ट्यूशंस का वो बहुत टफ फेज होता है वो एक पास हो जाए एंड देन उसके बाद तो फिर मेरा बस नवंबर का जो प्रिपरेशन स्टार्ट किया मैंने लाइक अप्रैल के अराउंड फिर वो जो बस लास्ट 6 मंथ्स का मेरे को लगता है कि अगर हम लोग लास्ट का 2 मंथ्स बस ट्यूशंस कंप्लीट कर लें एंड अच्छा से पढ़ भी लें तो लास्ट का 6 मंथ्स जो हम बहुत एफर्ट्स लगाए थे ऑल्दो आई एम फॉर अ रैंक बट आई डिड नॉट गेट अ रैंक ठीक है मतलब वो एक बस फिर लाइक नवंबर का रिजल्ट आ रहा था एंड देन आई वाज लाइक पता नहीं पास होंगे नहीं होंगे वी हैड 4 फ्रेंड्स टुगेदर तो लाइक हम लोग चारों का फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट था एंड मतलब ऐसा था कि हम लोग एमसीए से सब सब साथ में किए थे ये था बस एग्जाम्स आया रिजल्ट निकला एंड हम लोग चारों का बात हुआ तो वी ऑल 4 क्लियर मतलब सबसे बेस्ट पार्ट वो था एंड देन उसके बाद फिर बस ऐसी फिर वो फ्लो में सारा अच्छी सब कुछ हो गया अभी तक
एक ऐसे जाने से आप दोनों से ये सब सुन के हमें भी बहुत सारा इंस्पिरेशन मिल रही है एंड इवन टू ऑल आवर ऑडियंस कि ऐसे सब करके भी हम आगे जाके कितना फ्लरिश कर सकते हैं लाइक बाय गिविंग एक एक ग्रुप करके भी जैसे
Shrishti, are you
Hello.
there?
Oh, actually, I think I lost my network. Okay. Sorry for the interruption. So, मैं बस ये कह रही थी कि whatever we are, we shouldn't be self-doubting ourselves. So we can do everything and achieve everything in our life. Just हमें अपने आप पे confidence रखना चाहिए. I think what is this exactly? So, okay, I think Purva, you should continue.
Yeah. So, Sakshi and Kalpesh, this question is to you both. Like, बहुत सारा ऐसे question है कि how did you manage your study along with the articleship? Like, what was your daily routine? So, start with Kalpesh.
Yeah. Such I knew in the very first the only aim when I go before my exams is I need to complete all my classes. In fact, I took my first class only after 7 months joining in the articleship because I knew you had to learn the work. I think that was my priority when I joined my articleship. So once I started taking classes, I need because I took all online classes, so it was not the physical classes because I felt you save a lot of time going and taking a physical classes. So the only idea was to complete all the classes wherever necessary before the prep leaves, and wherever you're planning to do a self study, to finish at least one round of reading. That is the only plan. So if I used to take classes, I used to watch it in the morning. Say for example, it's going to be either 6 to 8 or 7 to 9 kind of a slot. Also, like you can watch it at 1.3, 1.4 extra speed once you get familiarized. Because I felt when you're going to enter into the office, but you never know how when you'll walk outside the gate. So that was because I've gone at like 10 o'clock, returned the next day back to 2 o'clock, and all these sorts of happen. So I started believing in the morning no one is going to disturb you. So I felt morning is there. So I made a plan. Say I have roughly around 20 odd months to complete all the classes, and then 20 odd classes, say 6 classes I want to take, averagely three and a half a month. But FR say is going to be a vast, DT is going to be vast. So I just tweaked down and bought a rough plan. Ki this much month is required for these particular classes. And for example, say FR I gave 4 months. So I ensure that 4 months ke andar I need to complete classes. And a lot of questions I do face ki I don't have the motivation to get up the next day and watch the classes and all this thing. But very frankly, it happened to me also because 6 o'clock in the morning. I was not a person who gets up 6 in the morning or such. So every time was like 15 minutes down the class. It's like, आज skip कर ले क्या अभी थोड़ी नींद आ रही है and we'll watch the next day. So, but what I ensured कि हाँ this was happening, and then once I figured out कि I think the time is too much. But then when I calculated, it's like 4 months FR, around 100 odd classes. So if I miss today's classes, am I going to miss the deadlines which I've set? So don't consider the exam prep as the deadline. Keep a realistic near deadline. For example, if you're taking SFM or say any other classes, say within 2.5 months to 3 months you need to complete those classes. So that is something which kept me on going. And every day I used to ask the question if I want to sleep after 15 minutes. If I skip today, whether I'll be able to complete. So that was one thing. Number two, in case there were any homeworks, I used to ensure that after coming home, I just spent a half an hour, 1 hour, doing that. If there is no homework, I just do. So there was no simultaneous revision, which I, perfectly did. This is the first classes which I needed to complete, and homework only because if at all they have given some homework, so I just go and complete it. So that was all the thing which I did. So nothing else that I was doing a simultaneous revision as such. So it was only complete the class before preparation, and the first reading of the subject I gave it actually in my exam leaves only. So that was the whole plan actually.
Okay, so like you are also like us only, not
Yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah.
not even a different, right? So yeah, Sakshi, what was your routine?
Like I took my classes as soon as I cleared my intermediate examinations, मतलब 10-15 का डेज के बाद, क्योंकि सबसे सुन लिया था कि फाइनल्स का क्लासेस कंप्लीट नहीं होता है, तो बस 10-15 डेज के बाद क्लासेस तो ले लिया था. तो ऑफिस के साथ वही सुबह में एक क्लास, शाम का एक क्लास, वैसे करके करते थे. मतलब मेरा बस एम ये था कि वही 6 मंथ्स का प्रिपरेशन मेरे को लास्ट में चाहिए एग्जाम के लिए. तो आई नीड माई एग्जाम्स, आई नीड टू कंप्लीट माई क्लासेस लास्ट 1 अप्रैल के पहले, कि आई हैव इनफ टाइम 30 अप्रैल तक, कि आई हैव इनफ पूरा 6 मंथ्स एकदम अलग से मेरे को प्रिपरेशन के लिए. सिमिलरली हम भी कुछ भी रिवाइज पहले नहीं किए, ऑल्दो बाद में पढ़ते टाइम थोड़ा सा ऐसे रिग्रेट हुआ था कि थोड़ा कुछ पढ़ लेना चाहिए था, लेकिन वो लास्ट 6 मंथ्स में ही फर्स्ट रिविजन भी हुआ था. आर्टिकलशिप के साथ वही सब क्लासेस, जैसे 8 सब्जेक्ट्स है तो बस 8 सब्जेक्ट्स को डिवाइड कर लिया था वही एक टाइम के अकॉर्डिंग, जैसे एफआर को थोड़ा ज़्यादा मिलेगा वैसे करके, एंड देन मॉर्निंग इवनिंग करके बस क्लास को कंप्लीट करने पे फोकस कर रहे थे, मतलब कि लास्ट 6 मंथ्स के पहले क्लासेस कंप्लीट हो जाए. रिविजन्स हम कभी होमवर्क भी नहीं किए थे ऐसे, तो आई मतलब कभी होमवर्क भी मिलता था, आई नेवर डिड माई होमवर्क, और बस लेकिन ये था कि हाँ क्लासेस ऐसे करना है कि हाँ समझ में आ जाए, एंड देन 6 मंथ्स के पहले मेरा मेन टारगेट यही था कि 6 मंथ्स के पहले क्लास खत्म हो जाना चाहिए. बस वो रेगुलरली उसी के थ्रू मेरा वो टाइम टेबल वैसे ही बन गया था फिर.
So अच्छा, like both our speakers पूरे contradictory है, एक के thoughts कुछ और, एक के thoughts कुछ और. Like अच्छा है, like audiences of all kind. Yeah, so during the morning time or at night हमको पूरा classes complete करना पड़ेगा, और basically last के 6 months हमारे पास होने चाहिए for revision and for all the exam strategies, right? Yeah, so over to you, Shrishti.
ओके. सो ऐसे बहुत सारे लाइक इंसिडेंट्स आते हैं जब ड्यूरिंग आवर सीए जर्नी, जहाँ पे हम ब्रेकआउट फेस करते हैं कि बहुत हो गया, अब नहीं हो रहा है मुझसे, या रोना आता है, ऐसा बहुत सी बार होता है. सो मतलब ऐसे क्या आपने भी ऐसे कोई इंसिडेंट्स फेस किए थे, कल्पेश एंड साक्षी?
So as I said, I wanted to quit CA. So at some point of time, actually, so I actually went to quit CA. Uh, I wouldn't say as such a lot of moments, yeah, but that was a phase when I wanted to, drop out of this course because it was like I don't want to live my life in the classroom for 8 9 hours. But the eventual thought process was very simple. My father came up to me and said, "You see, you work this 4 years or you struggle the next 40 years." I still remember that line, and I think that was the only thing that made me pick up back the course and is like, see what is your future going to be like with a bachelor's degree, and you can't do anything. See, even if you decide to do an MBA later or any other course, you need to slog the whole hours. So why not, when you've done some work progress here, and why you not continue? So see, you've cleared foundation, you've cleared group 1. Why are you leaving at this point of time? Even if you decide, unless it is not in your interest. But that was never the case with me because I did not know what I want to do. So when I started something, I think it only makes sense that you continue unless it is against your interest. So that is what kept me going, because ultimately, believe me, anything you do, it will require equal amount of hard work, equal amount of patience, and you have to put in your effort. So people who, I mean, see, if you want to quit this course and do something else merely for the purpose that this is looking difficult, believe me, the world is more difficult out there. And I'm seriously telling for all the people. No, there was my friend who just did CPK and he quit the course and he had to face a lot of issues. He eventually took up some other course. But I'm telling you, just for the sake of, okay, I want to, do something easy, get money, and that's not going to happen. So it's the only thing that today you invest yourself good amount of time. I think eventually your future will look safer. And of course, after qualifying, see, a lot of doors really do open up. Uh, but these 4 years, 5 years, I think will turn you into a very different person than what you entered as a profession, is what particularly I think.
Okay, great. And Sakshi, have you faced such breakouts?
यस यस मतलब ये आई थिंक अगर एक हम लोग का जो आर्टिकलशिप पीरियड का टाइम है वो आर्टिकलशिप और सीए फाइनल्स का स्टडीज वो तो बहुत लंबा पीरियड होता है वो पूरा पूरा पीरियड पूरे फ्लो में पढ़ाई करना विदाउट द सेकंड थॉट वो आई डोंट थिंक सो पॉसिबल है किसी सबको कुछ एक बार तो ये थॉट आ ही जाता होगा लाइक वही होता है ना कि हम लोग कॉलेज गए हुए सब पार्टी भी कर रहा है सब इधर उधर जा रहे हैं तो एक वो थॉट आता है कि भाई हम ही क्यों पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं हम भी तो इन लोग के जैसे पार्टी कर ही सकते हैं मतलब इट्स नॉट लाइक उन लोग कुछ नहीं कर पाएगा उस समय ये थॉट आता है कि उन लोग भी कॉलेज कर रहे हैं उसके बाद एमबीए करे ऐसा तो नहीं है कि उन लोग कुछ नहीं कर पाएगा बट वही एक थॉट कि सीए कर लेने के बाद आई नो मेरा लाइफ उन लोग से डिफरेंट हो जाएगा बस वो एक थॉट कि हम लोग को मतलब नहीं होता है कि ऐसा टाइम होता था कि एक वीक कभी कभी मेरे साथ बीच में 2 3 वीक्स कुछ पढ़ाई नहीं हो रहा है देन उसके बाद फिर एक बार फिर से बैठ के वापस कि नहीं ठीक है आई हैव टू कंटिन्यू वापस एक टाइम टेबल बनाना फिर से कंटिन्यू करना तो फिर वैसे करके ही पूरा वो 3 इयर्स का आर्टिकलशिप में ये तीन बहुत बार ये फेस करते ही है स्टूडेंट्स
करेक्ट। और हम सब भी कहीं ना कहीं ये काइंड ऑफ फोमो फेस कर ही रहे हैं हमारे अभी जो चल रहा है आर्टिकलशिप एंड साइमल्टेनियसली स्टार्टिंग फाइनल में। सो साक्षी, आई वुड लाइक टू आस्क कि जैसे बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स का एक क्वेश्चन था कि व्हाइल स्टडिंग हम काम एंड कंपोज नहीं रह पाते, लाइक देयर आर वेरी मच काइंड ऑफ थॉट्स दैट कीप ऑन डिस्ट्रैक्टिंग योर माइंड। सो आप मतलब ऐसा आपके साथ कभी हुआ है क्या? एंड इफ नॉट, सो हाउ टू हैंडल दिस डिस्ट्रैक्शंस?
मतलब यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द आर्टिकलशिप में जो हम लोग काम करते हैं उस पे फोकस नहीं कर पाते हैं
नहीं, एक्चुअली जैसे हम जब स्टडी करते हैं, सो व्हेन वी स्टार्ट स्टडिंग, बाकी सारे मतलब दुनिया भर की चीजें क्या हो रहा है सोशल मीडिया पे, वो सारी चीजें तभी एट दैट पॉइंट ही दिमाग में आती है, सो वो फोकस नहीं हो पाता है। सो व्हाट इज योर से ऑन दैट?
सी ये सेम चीज मेरे साथ होता था व्हाट आई डिड वाज आई केप्ट अ डायरी विथ मी ये स्टार्टिंग के में टाइम पे तो नहीं करते थे जब क्लासेस चलता था बट थोड़ा टाइम के बाद आई केप्ट अ डायरी विथ मी एंड देन जितना भी थॉट्स आता था आई रोट इट डाउन मतलब अगर कुछ पार्टी के जैसे ही चल रहा है तो जस्ट पार्टी या कोई फ्रेंड के बारे में चल रहा है कुछ दिमाग में तो बस वो फ्रेंड का नाम लिख दिया तो क्या होता है वो हमको लगता है वो थॉट हम लोग के माइंड को एक मिल जाता है कि हाँ ठीक है इसके बारे में सोचेंगे थोड़ी देर बाद सोचेंगे मतलब भी हम लोग बहुत जन से सुनते हैं कि हम लोग ये करके इसको ओवरकम कर लेते हैं बट आई सीरियसली ट्राइड दैट एंड वो बहुत अच्छा से काम करता है लिटरली फॉर आप वो थॉट को लिखो एंड विद इन 5 मिनट्स आपके दिमाग से वो थॉट वैनिश हो जाएगा तो वैसे करके ही हम एक प्रैक्टिस बना लिए थे जिसके वजह से फोकस करने में इजी हो जा मेरे लिए इजी हो जा रहा था आई थिंक दे कैन ट्राई दैट
And Kalpesh, do you want to add something to this?
Yeah, I actually want to add that's a very, very valid practice. Writing down this kind of really helped me in my finals. So I'll just tell you why this practice is very helpful because Abhi, when a lot of thing goes in your mind, no, you cannot actually see what is the problem. But when you write it down, you can actually see, it's a problem here, it's an issues here. Then you will find a solution for mapping it down. So that's a very, very. This is something I advise a lot of people. आपको अगर लगता है कि हाँ बहुत ज्यादा cluttered है mind, you start writing a piece of paper, you will eventually realize it's not even like half of what you were thinking. It's just some few problems that is going. Now you can visually see कि हाँ this was the issue you want to tackle. So that's a very, very valid strategy that really happens a lot. And sometimes writing is the best thing because वो अभी piece of paper पे आ जाता है, you can see what is the problem in front of you.
Okay, great. So ये writing वाला practice I think हम सबको करना चाहिए because
Also,
articles. हाँ, ये साक्षी.
And just to add one more thing कि अगर जैसे मेजर डिस्ट्रैक्शन हम लोग का सोशल मीडिया से ही होता है while studying, तो what I did was notification off. एटलीस्ट क्लास करते टाइम फोन तो ऑफ नहीं करता है कोई, तो एटलीस्ट नोटिफिकेशन ऑफ कर दो कि उस टाइम कोई और चीज पे अगर हम लोग ऐसे ध्यान नहीं जा रहा बट फोन पे नोटिफिकेशन आता है तो उस पर ध्यान चला जाता है, तो उस उतने टाइम के लिए डीएनडी या फिर उस एप्लीकेशन का नोटिफिकेशन हो वो बहुत ज्यादा हेल्प करता है.
And एक और question we got from our audience was that कि how important is taking the break between studying. Like कुछ लोग ऐसे होते हैं जो एकदम at a stretch बैठ सकते हैं 3-4 घंटे, and कुछ लोग ऐसे होते हैं कि आधा घंटा ही नहीं हुआ उनके माइंड में फिर थॉट्स आने लगते हैं कि चलो पानी पी के आते हैं या मम्मी से बात करके आते हैं. So मतलब क्या लगता है आपको कि कितने frequently ये breaks लेने चाहिए? कल्पेश?
I think that's a very personal choice which you make because I feel I could study for say probably 1.5 2 hours without taking a break. That was my energy because I knew कि if I take a lot of break then मेरा flow टूट जाता है. Even if you want to understand the concept, it takes at least 40-45 minutes to learn something and then practice a problem or something, and it's very personal. Whereas I've heard some of the people they've sit for 40-45 minutes, take a 5 minute break, another 45 minutes, then 5 minutes. So the span of 3 hours, they would have read around 2.5 hours with an effective break of say 15 minutes. So I think that's a very personal call, but I think the minimum of the amount of time which you need to sit is I think around 35 to 40 minutes because then you start building upon that. So eventually you can start up with say 40-45 minutes and then try to go up all the way to say 2 hours, 3 hours. Because remember at the end of the day, आपको exam 3 घंटे में जाके रुकनी है, so you should have the patience of sitting at one place for 3 hours is what I feel, and that is why your mind will get accustomed to thinking continuously for 3 hours. So that is something I would say it's a very personal choice, but yeah, plan your time very much. Say for example, you're going to sit for say 12 hours or say 10 hours. Think that 2 hours should be my break time, 8 hours should be a study time, and then proportionately split the break, whether it's going to be 2 hours, 15 minutes ka break or 45 minutes with a 5 minute ka break. I think that's a very personal choice which you need to have. Because I personally felt if I studied for say 45 minutes and then took a break, it would disrupt my flow. And I was a person who ensured that this is something, a chunk, major chunk, padne ke baad take a break because that is where I felt that I've accomplished something. So that was something very personal choice. So yeah.
Okay, great. Sakshi, what would you like to do this?
See, I completely agree with Kalpesh कि it's a very personal thing. तो during when I was doing my classes, तो I could sit for long hours. तो कभी कभी full 3 hours का lectures के बाद ही एक बार break लेके फिर या फिर वैसे करके कंटिन्यू करना. बट जब when I was studying for my final का preparation last 6 months में, उस time I couldn't sit for so long. मतलब 3 hours का slot माइंड हैवी हो जा रहा था, तो उस पे वही आई स्टार्टेड फॉलोइंग पोमोडोरो टेक्निक. वही 45 मिनट्स आई स्टडी एंड देन 5 मिनट्स का ब्रेक, 5 या 3 मिनट्स का ब्रेक. मतलब ऐसा बहुत लंबा ब्रेक नहीं, बस टू गेट अप एंड मूव अराउंड इन द रूम, थोड़ा जंप कर लिया, इधर उधर कुछ कर लिया एंड देन फिर अगेन आके बैठ गया एंड देन फिर 3 आवर्स के बाद आई टुक अ हाफ एन आवर का ब्रेक. सो दैट हेल्प मी.
ओके, सो मींस यू बोथ एग्री कि ब्रेक लेना इंपॉर्टेंट है, बट कीपिंग इन माइंड कि आपका कितना मतलब प्रिपरेशन हो रहा है या आपका फ्लो नहीं टूटना चाहिए. ब्रेक्स आर एसेंशियल. ऐसा ही नहीं कि 10-12 घंटे, क्योंकि उससे हमारी एफिशिएंसी भी हैम्पर हो सकती है. करेक्ट. ओके, सो पूर्वा कंटिन्यू.
So, I want to know, and even our audience, what was your routine for the last 4 months before the examination? Yes, Kalpesh.
So I will be very honest, I was not a morning person who can wake up at say 3 to 4 in the morning, or not a night person who goes to sleep at 3 to 4. I started my day at average 6:30. I used to close it by 9:30 to 10 p.m. That used to be my day. And I used to roughly study around, say, starting, I started with, say, 8 to 9 hours. It eventually peaked up to, say, 12 hours during the last month. वो अपने आप आ जाएगा. I am not telling कि don't try to sit 14, 16 hours the very first day. It will not be possible. Start with 8 to 9 hours, which is very much possible. Say, for example, 4 different slots of say 2 hours each, very much possible. So I used to plan around say we'll sit for say 10, 11 hours, get the productivity of 8 to 9 hours. So that is where I used to do. And say what used to happen also was I used to ensure that I started with basically a practical subject in the morning. Because as I said, I was not a morning person. For me, 6:30 was still too early. Whereas my friend used to get up at say 4:30 in the morning. By when I used to get up, that fellow would have finished a chapter. So, I mean, I was already behind, but so I used to start with a practical subject till breakfast in 9:30, 10. 10 से लेके 4 तक, a combination of two theory subject. Probably audit would be on one side and law, or it used to be SCMD kind of thing. Then from 4 to evening, say 9, it would be, or 5 to 9, it used to be another practical subject. So I was a person who studied 3 to 4 subjects a day. And sometimes 8:30 after dinner, you kind of feel, very sluggish and you could not. So that is where you can do all these tasks. I predominantly followed the last 1 hour for all the other kind of activities. For example, MCQ का booklet आपको solve करना है. आप last 1 घंटे या you spare for that because that gives you good practice. आपको उसी papers, so I was doing 6D. So 6D का case study solve करना है, उसमें कीजिए. केस लॉस की समरी पढ़नी है, जो इजी वाले काम होते हैं ना, या चैप्टर 6D ही खुद पढ़ना है, तो वो कर सकते हैं. जो भी मतलब इट इज नॉट अ वेरी टायरसम टास्क. फॉर एग्जांपल स्टार्टिंग ऑडिट आई यूज्ड टू डू इन माय पीक आवर्स लाइक 10 to 4 के बीच में. एंड व्हेनेवर आई यूज्ड टू गेट टायर्ड और से मुझको कुछ पढ़ना है, सो आई यूज्ड टू डू लाइक केस स्टडी और एमसीक्यू जो आई फेल्ट अ लिटिल easier. So that used to be my plan. By 9:30 on the first 2 months, 9:30 would be done, and every alternate Sundays I used to close out by 7 or 6:30, just to ensure I'm getting the adequate break to not get burned out. Eventually that 10 did, I mean 9:30 did become 10:30, 11, but not more than that. And post that also I just half an hour scroll around for a Twitter or Telegram or WhatsApp to just see what is happening around the world. And by probably 10:30 I would 10:30, 11 I would hit the bed. So also I used to watch YouTube in between on all stuff after 9:30 to 10, 10:15. So that used to be my daily plan in the last week.
Okay, and Sakshi?
So my strategy was almost same as Kalpesh. Just the time, my sleep pattern was a bit different. I actually सबको देख के I tried to get up early, but वो मेरे से वो क्या होता था 4:30 उठेंगे. I slept early कि हाँ 11 o'clock सो जा रहे हैं, 4:30 I'll wake up. लेकिन वो कभी भी 4:30 होता नहीं था, उसका 7:30 होता ही था. एंड देन सुबह उठते ही वो डिमोटिवेशन, यार 3 घंटा वेस्ट कर दिया, आप तो क्या करेंगे दिन में. देन आई चेंज माई स्लीप पैटर्न. 7:30 उठ रहे हैं, पढ़ रहे हैं, एंड देन अपना वही 3 hours का स्लॉट्स करके वैसे पढ़ा. एंड देन 7 o'clock आई वेंट टू स्लीप, एंड 7 o'clock से 8 आई स्लेप्ट. उसके बाद आई वोक अप एंड देन 4-5 hours आई स्टडी 2-3 बजे तक, एंड देन आई वेंट टू स्लीप. तब फिर आई वोक अप एट 8 to 9. मतलब क्योंकि आई न्यू कि हम सुबह उठ नहीं पा रहे, तो आई मेड माई टाइम टेबल ऐसे, क्योंकि आई गॉट टू नो कि हम रात में थोड़ा लेट तक पढ़ सकते हैं. तो 7 to 8 या 7 to 9 एक नैप लेके फिर देन आई स्टार्टेड स्टडिंग कि 9 o'clock से 2 या 3, एंड देन उसको उससे भी ज्यादा एक्सटेंड कर सकते हैं, स्ट्रेच कर सकते हैं, तो वो स्ट्रेच कर देते थे. तो दैट इज हाउ माई स्लीप पैटर्न वाज उस टाइम पे, एंड देन स्ट्रेटेजी वाज सेम एज कल्पेश.
Okay, so like Sakshi, how much it is important to give the test series, like, and also what is the importance of the writing practice in the practical subjects?
Yes, so test series are very important. Like I would recommend everyone to give at least 2 to 3 tests before giving the examination. That helped me a lot. Like when I gave the test for SFM and all, I came to know कि हम बहुत ज़्यादा silly mistakes कर रहे हैं. वो हो सकता है multiplication में ही हो रहा है, वो हो सकता है foreign exchange का rates लिखने में ही गलती कर रहे हैं. बट अगर वो हम टेस्ट नहीं देते हैं डायरेक्टली एग्जाम में करते, तो आई वुड नॉट नो दैट. क्योंकि वो जब सामने देख के प्रैक्टिस करते रहते हैं ना, तो ठीक है वो हो सकता है करेक्ट हो जाए. बट जब प्रॉपरली 3 hours बैठ के देते हैं, तो हम लोग के दिमाग में इतना सारा थॉट्स, इतना सारा क्वेश्चन रहते हैं, सब चैप्टर मिक्सअप रहता है, देन कंफ्यूजन स्टार्ट होता है. तो टेस्ट सीरीज देने से की वजह से कि मेरा एग्जाम में वो सिली मिस्टेक्स नहीं हुआ. मतलब तो आई विल से कि एटलीस्ट हर फर्स्ट, नॉट इन द फर्स्ट रिविजन, लेकिन सेकंड और थर्ड रिविजन अगर आप कर रहे हो तो उसमें कम से कम दोनों में तो एक एक टेस्ट तो देना ही चाहिए. एंड इफ पॉसिबल, आई कोई कोई सब्जेक्ट का आई डिड कि आई गेव अ टेस्ट इन द मॉर्निंग एंड देन टेस्ट देने के बाद आई केम टू नो कि हाँ मेरे को ये सब्जेक्ट में ये पॉइंट्स में प्रॉब्लम है. देन आई स्टडीड अगेन फॉर 3-4 आवर्स कि वो जो पार्ट मेरे को पता है अच्छा से नहीं हुआ है उसको हम पढ़ते थे, एंड देन शाम में फिर से आई गेव अ टेस्ट. मतलब 2 टेस्ट इन अ डे. तो उससे मेरे को वीक पॉइंट्स भी पता चल जाता था एंड 2 टेस्ट भी हो गया. तो राइटिंग प्रैक्टिस भी हो जाता था ना. एंड देन आई केप्ट द आंसर शीट विथ मी, जो एग्जाम के पहले आई सॉ कि हाँ बता रहे कि व्हाट वी डू कि टेस्ट दे दिया, मार्क्स इतना आ गया बस हो गया. कभी भी अपने गलती पे फोकस नहीं करते, वो टेस्ट देने के बाद मार्क्स पे ज्यादा फोकस करते हैं. तो व्हाट आई फोकस वाज ऑन माय मिस्टेक्स, कि वो मिस्टेक्स आई रोट डाउन इन अ पेपर एंड एग्जाम देने से पहले आई वेंट थ्रू दैट मिस्टेक कि वो मिस्टेक्स बस एग्जाम में रिपीट नहीं हो. So that helped me a lot.
So what are your views, Kalpesh?
Yeah, I really agree with her point, because I still remember when I gave my first exam, a test series FR, I could not cross 40 basically. The reason would be कि मैंने probabilities गलत copy कर दिए, बस मतलब total 100 नहीं आ रहा. That also I didn't check. I gave question पूरा नहीं पढ़ा, journal entry पूछा हुआ था. I just did the calculation and I came out. So तभी पता चला कि studying is one different thing and applying in a 3 hours of situation is totally different thing. And from there I thought it will make a ton of difference. I think as she said, 2 test series are bare minimum is what I feel. And in your first revision, that is after your first reading, the first revision which you give simultaneously should appear to the first mock, and second revision just the one before, so that you also have the writing practice. See, test series gives you 2 probable conclusions for you. Number one, to understand where you are you able to apply and able to write in this treehouse whatever you've studied? Are you able to recollect the concepts? No. See, number two is how are you going to tackle the mental game here? Because see, understand the question comes बहुत ज़्यादा difficult, 40 marks out of syllabus, then how are you able to maintain your calm? And the third thing would be, are you able to attend 100 marks? Today, I feel attending 100 marks is very, very important. I say bringing all the papers are very, very lengthy. Okay? Averagely ऐसा पेपर बना रहे हैं कि which is not, अगर आप शांति से लिखो तो 3.5 hours हो जाते हैं उस पेपर का, but you need to also understand that paper needs to get completed in 3 hours. So the target should be to understand whether you're able to complete and write 800 marks. So what I used to do in test series was 2 hours 45 minutes was the time I used to allot, not even 3 hours, because I knew 15 minutes में कुछ ना कुछ करेंगे, वो एग्जाम में आके आपका पेपर पे वो स्टिकर छपेंगे, yeah, they will sign. So I felt that 15 minutes I just put it as gross margin there. So 2 hours 45 minutes I need to complete my paper. But it will give you really an idea कि whether are you able to approach the exam, and fairly enough it will give you points where you need to improve. So sometimes you might feel that आपने ये sum देखा हुआ है, आप कर लोगे, but when it comes in exam probably your hand doesn't move. So it is really important, because it is okay to make mistake, as we said, in the mock rather than doing it in the main exam, because here I can fail. It doesn't really matter, but going there and failing is not an option for me. So I think that's very, very important. So please do give 2 test series, at least it's bare minimum at final level. So that's something which I say everyone. So that would be my views.
So like last के 4 months में कितना revisions possible है, Kalpesh?
See, I always knew that final is a very vast subject, so aiming for say 4 or 5 revision would be unrealistic. Basically, I only got 4 months of leave. My plan was 1 reading plus 2 revision. That is all, because I knew कि even if I take say Sakchi 30 days, 8 subjects, so it comes around 3.54 days. 4 days make subject, which means it's a fairly difficult task. So I knew कि I divided 50, 55, 60 days for the first reading, 35 days for the second reading, 25 days for the last. So it coupled up to 120 days, because 1.5 into 8 is basically how much? It's going to be around say 12 days. So 25. So geography, it was actually reducing. So that's why I knew ki, 2 revision is something which is very much achievable. Trying for 3, 5 have time, but I knew ki I would miserably fall short, because 4 months, I think 1 reading plus 2 revision should be enough, because also having the fact that I was only going to do 2 revisions, the first reading which I gave needed to be very, very technically strong on that. So I feel today also, I feel even if you're going with say 1.5 kind of revision, it all depends on how good is your first reading. If your first reading is fundamentally strong, I think even one revision, 1.5 revision should suffice, because ultimately the more confident you get from the first reading, it is what you get carry forward. Though you might feel that 20% of syllabus ही आपको याद आ रहा है, but that is the role of revision, to ensure that the rest of 80% comes to your brain the moment you do it. So I think it's the first revision that matters a lot, first reading that matters a lot, and eventually if time permits, I think average 2 revision should be done, or 1.8 जो main second revision में main आप focus कीजिए कौन सा repeat आ रहा है, so उस पे आप I think that was my strategy, because I knew from very well this was something only I can do 2 revisions and 1 reading.
And what are your views, Sakshi?
So I also did like one reading, which I include. I considered it as my first revision, although it was I did the reading and the revision simultaneously. So the first revision, I divided the time period into like a ratio of 3:2:1. कि अभी if I give 12 days to a subject, next time मेरे को 6 days में वो revise करना है, and then 3 days. वो last 3 days का revision I know I can't skip. मतलब क्योंकि एग्जाम के पहले इफ वी हैव टू रिवाइज इन 1.5 डे एंटायर सिलेबस को, तो इफ वी अगर हम लोग 3 डेज में उसको रिवाइज नहीं करें, तो हमको नहीं लगता कि जो हम लोग एक वीक या उससे ज्यादा पीरियड में पढ़ रहे हैं उसको 1.5 डे में समराइज करना इतना ईजी रहेगा. इसीलिए आई वॉज वेरी श्योर कि लास्ट का जो रिविजन है वो 3 डेज का देना ही है. इसीलिए वो 3 डेज पूरा 4 months आई टुक 6 months का लीव. सो 6 months का प्रिपरेशन आई डिड. 4 months को भी we can divide into 3:2:1 का ratio. तो first revision will take 12 days, then 6, and then 3 days. वैसे करके I did.
Okay, so yeah, over to you, Shrishti.
ओके, सो जब हम जैसे स्टडी स्ट्रेटेजी की प्लान, रिवीजन प्लान इन लास्ट 4 months बात कर रहे हैं, सो व्हाट वाज योर प्लान? क्योंकि जैसे आखिरी में एग्जाम के पहले हमारे पास सिर्फ 1.5 दिन बचता है. सो साक्षी, उस मतलब वो 1.5 days आपको क्या लगता है एक स्टूडेंट ने कैसे उसको यूटिलाइज करना चाहिए? हाउ मच वेटेज शुड बी गिवन टू आरटीपीज, एमटीपीज, पास्ट एग्जाम क्वेश्चंस एट दैट टाइम एंड मॉड्यूल्स?
मेरे को लगता है वो 1.5 डेज का रिवीजन के लिए, एज आई सेड कि वो लास्ट जो 3 डेज का रिवीजन हम लोग कर रहे हैं, लास्ट रिवीजन, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. वो 3 डेज में ही हम लोग को एक टाइम टेबल बना लेना चाहिए वो 1.5 डेज में हम लोग क्या करेंगे. मतलब कि ऐसा नहीं हो कि एग्जाम के बाद आके हम लोग सोच रहे हैं कि अब मेरे को क्या पढ़ना है, व्हाट शुड आई डू. तो ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है कि वो लास्ट 1.5 डे में आप आरटीपी, एमटीपी, लास्ट पास्ट ईयर क्वेश्चंस, ये सब सारा सब कुछ देके जो लास्ट जो आप रिविजन करते हैं वो 3 डेज में, उसमें यू मार्क द क्वेश्चंस, मार्क द टॉपिक जो आपको लग रहा है इंपॉर्टेंट है. जैसे आरटीपी, एमटीपी में भी कुछ क्वेश्चंस होगा जो बहुत टिपिकल होगा, दैट यू नीड टू रिवाइज 1.5 डे के पहले. तो ऐसे प्लान करना है कि यू ऑल्सो रिवाइज द एंटायर सिलेबस जितना भी आप पढ़ रहे हो. रिटन प्रैक्टिस ऑब्वियसली वो 1.5 डेज में पॉसिबल नहीं है, तो ऐसे कवर करना है कि एमटीपी, आरटीपी में भी कौन सा क्वेश्चंस आपको देखना है वो आपको लास्ट 3 डेज में मार्क करके रखो कि 1.5 डे का रिवीजन बिकम्स इजी.
And Kalpesh, what was your go-to strategy for last 1.5 days?
So see, 1.5 days is something which my seniors advise that you need to prepare before going into the final, the lap of examinations, but also understand when you're doing your first reading, thinking about 1.5 days wouldn't be very easy for you, because you know you have not covered the syllabus. And so I just ensured that first reading mein thoda, like even just 5 to 6% will just concentrate on how to structure 1.5 days. Once you've given your first reading and when you do your second reading, that is where the real structure of the 1.5 days comes into picture. Because in first reading, after first reading, you know, ye chapter is very important because pass mein aaye, or this is where I am. So basically your 1.5 days should be based on 2 things. Number one, the chapters or the concepts are very important. For example, the big 6 of the FR, like your financial instrument, leases, business combination. So you know these chapters are very important, and of course FR is some subject. I'm just giving an example how you can structure it. So these are the concepts which I need to do in 1.5 days along with questions, and there are some other where I just need to revise the concept, and there are some I just need to glance over the sum. So this is the structure as to how you go. And the second part of the structure would be those places where you're making mistake, and for you where you know you're difficult for you it is difficult to understand. So one is based on your ability to understand a concept, and one is the as per what is important in the exam. So that is how you should start structuring. So you should use something called a filter down approach in a practical subject, because if you say solving 100 sums in your first reading, it should boil down to around 20 odd sums in the 1.5 days, because you will not have a lot of time to do all the questions. So if the 20 questions should be based on how important is it to exam, and it should also include those questions which you felt tough or which it had unique adjustment, all this kind of thing. So that is how. So I think the first revision will give you a fair idea about what is the 1.5 days, and the second revision will just materialize it what you had marked in the first kind of revision. So you would have a structure. So before going into the exam, you should know SFM may I'll solve 120, 130 odd questions. That should be the plan and these concepts. If it is audit, this is what I need to do. This is the A category. I'm not telling you any ABC analysis, but this is what I have to give preference to. So that is how you need to practice, or you need to put your 1.5 days, because at the end of the day, I would say 80 to 90% depends on what you do in 1.5 days, because it's a very short term memory. And also something which I did not do, I would recommend a lot of people to do for practical subject is maintain a register or a notebook where you can mark the sums where you have unique adjustment, or where you're continuously going wrong in that, or which is a very important concept. So that if you brush up this before say 3-4 hours of your exams, you will have a short term memory ki हाँ यहाँ पे ये adjustment था in case the sum comes in, but this is where I was going wrong. So maintain a risk of adjustments or a unique concepts or a place where you are going wrong. That will really help you. So that is how you can brush up or things like that. So that was my plan to make a 1.5 days. I used to track, these are the questions I will do for all the practical stuff. I think theory should be more or less easy. 1.5 days practical में थोड़ा वो problem आता है. कितना question करना चाहिए, कितना concept को focus करना चाहिए. Have a register of say 100-125 questions should be, I think, sufficient in the 1.5 days.
Okay, fair enough, Kalpesh. So many of the people have also asked regarding the subject wise कैसे मतलब approach करना चाहिए, कि जैसे now talking about we have divided the subjects into two, कि कुछ होते हैं हमारे पूरे practical, कुछ पूरे theory and some of mix of practical and theoretical. So like how did you approach towards them, कि theory को कैसे deal किया and practical को कैसे deal किया?
Okay. So I will just add one more thing. There are also subjects like DT, ITT, and HCMP, which are both theory and practical. I would say this is the third branch of subjects. So for subjects which are purely practical in nature, like SFM, I used to use a filter down approach. As I said, first reading May, I used to solve all kinds of questions from study material plus an author's question banks, which means that I was not missing out on a lot of questions. So that gave me a completeness of the number of questions. From there, I used to strike down the questions which I feel are either basic, which are not going to come in exam, which I felt this is conceptually I'm really strong at, and even if it comes, I can solve it. I used to use a filter down approach. I'm starting with 100 questions. So in the first revision, I used to only solve say 70 or 65 odd questions, and in the second revision, it used to filter down to 45, 30 questions, and eventually 20, 25 questions. So that used to be one aspect of practical subjects. In also practical subject, you need to also have your notes, either make yours or use some other authors for the theory to how you are going to solve the sum. For example, अभी SFM में हो गया, आपका derivatives पता है, derivatives में वो how will you approach the sum, उसका base theory क्या, उसका base concept क्या, how are you deriving a value of a future. So उसका आपका जो theory either use it, make it, आपको वो theory होना चाहिए, because remember in 1.5 days you can't go looking for the theory, or you can't go in depth sitting with the bare text of study material. Even if it is for indices, you need to have, this is what index is talking about. You need to have some kind of notes so that you will be able to brush up the theory or the conceptual part of it as far as practical subject is concerned. So that should be a larger game plan, and of course maintain a register, as I just said. For theory subject has a very unique proposition, because again, wahan pe you cannot track it, there is no number. So for subjects like audit law, आपको ये करना पड़ेगा कि you will have to bifurcate the whole syllabus, not into ABC. I'm telling, for example, for audit, what I did specifically was essays. I separated professional ethics एक part था, company audit and corporate governance वो एक part था, and other audit. So for essays, what I used to do every single day, I used to study two or three essays for a period of say the 120 days, because मुझे पता है ऐसे 35 to 40 marks आने वाले हैं, and I was generally weak in a subject like audit. That was really pain for me in intermediate. I knew that I could not take a risk in final. So essays was a separate. I treated it like a separate subject. Then coming in professional ethics. Professional ethics is something which I liked. So there I remember all the clauses which I felt was more easier. अभी आपका company audit में आपका provisional background बहुत strong होना चाहिए. Be it a company audit or subject like law, have a lot of focus on the provisional clarity. You need not quote the exact provision, and section numbers do not carry relevance is something which I want to really clear out, because in my even if you take my paper 4, I just quoted one section, section 222, only in the whole paper. No other sections were quoted. So just want to even say that section numbers do not carry any relevance. So instead of quoting a wrong section number, just quote as per the provisions of the so and so act. Have a provisional clarity, and for other audits आपको ऐसा करना पड़ेगा कि जहाँ पे bullet points दिए गए, जहाँ पे paragraph points दिए गए, आपको you have to give importance to them. At the same time, जहाँ पे बड़े बड़े paragraph ये just read the gist of it, mark the keywords. हाँ, आपको ये paragraph में आपको highlight होनी चाहिए कि हाँ ये keyword है, अगर exam में by chance पूछ लेते, I'll at least write these keywords, so I'll be able to score up. But for subject like audit, which is huge vast, on the other audits like bank, PSU audit वगैरह, just wherever the bullet points are there, give a lot of importance to that. And also a special thing for a subject like law. Now, what institute is doing is they are asking from the latter half of the context. For example, last के जो 3-4 provisions होते हैं ना, 5-6 provision, वहां से वो पूछ रहे हैं अभी. तो मेरा एक केस में ये आ गया कि जो foreign company का last वाला provision था, वो उठ के आ गया. तो also focus on the latter half of the provisions is something which I would say. In subjects like IDT, DT में तो आपको concept तो clear होनी चाहिए. Again, use some kind of notes, and it's basically a mix. So the whole idea would be जहाँ पे भी आपका it is a mixed or practical subject, use a concept का book or some kind where you can revise the theory part very fastly and go on to practical stuff. So this should be a brief approach. In case you want to have any particular subject, I can then deep delve into it.
Okay, great, Kalpesh. And काफी सारे लोगों ने एक्चुअली कमेंट में भी पूछा है कि लाइक सब्जेक्ट वाइज बताइए कि कौन सी फैकल्टी. सो वुड यू लाइक टू कमेंट ऑन दैट, एंड व्हाट ऑल थिंग्स शुड वी कीप इन माइंड while choosing the faculty for a subject?
See, I wouldn't go and suggest of the best faculty who's out there, but I will just take you what faculty I took and whether did I. So for FR, I took Bhavik Chokshi. I really feel he's a very amazing teacher. I really loved his classes, and his support was really well. Even during the last 4 or 5 days before the examination, I just texted him, these are the doubts, and the reply came within an hour. So his support was very good. For SFM, I took Dinesh Jain, who's basically out of Chennai. So I really liked his classes, so something which I would recommend. For audit, I did self-study. For law, I did self-study, but I also refer Shubham Singhal's YouTube ka lecture. So he's a very nice faculty, so something which I could recommend. For STMP, it was a self-study again. For DT, of course, you will know it's Dhaval Borana sir, from which I took, and IDT, I took it from Tarun Raj sir. Again, he's based out of Chennai. So the factors you should consider while selecting in faculty would be the thing is how well he's able to explain, he or she is able to explain you the concepts. I think more than that, that should be one predominant. I think you can, for that, you need to go and speak to your seniors or people who have already taken their classes. Number 2 would be the amount of support he gives you or she gives you after the class is done, because not every time कि आप पढ़ोगे अब, लेकिन आपको उसको you actually will be studying it 2 years later. So will he be available? Will she be available to take up your doubts? These 2 things should be really something you should consider while choosing your classes.
Okay, cool. So I think काफी लोगों ने ये क्वेश्चन पूछा था कि which faculties and what to think. So ये सब क्लियर हो चुका होगा. And now I would ask the same thing to Sakshi कि मतलब प्रैक्टिकल, थ्योरी एंड द मिक्स सब्जेक्ट्स, इनको कैसे टैकल किया था आपने, एंड व्हाट वाज योर स्ट्रेटजी, और आपने कौन सी फैकल्टीज रेफर की?
Okay, so one thing that helped me a lot सारे subjects में, be it practical या फिर theory, it was my handwritten notes. I started preparing the handwritten notes while doing my classes. मतलब जैसे ही classes चल रहा है, उसके साथ ही simultaneously I prepared handwritten notes for every subject. Except audit, I had handwritten notes for almost all the subjects. And that handwritten notes also helped me 1.5 days का revision में, because अगर आप अपना handwriting में ही कुछ पढ़ रहे हो अपना written, तो that takes a lot less time. उसी में what I did was, like I forgot to mention, SFM and all का I mentioned the question also, like Kalpesh की questions I mentioned, and I मतलब ये 5 question है इस topic का, but I need to study this one question before the exams. तो वो हर रिविजन में वो क्वेश्चन का नंबर कम होते गया. तो आई हैड अ सेट ऑफ शीट, वो A4 साइज शीट में आई प्रिपेयर्ड ऑल माय नोट्स. आई हैड अ सेट ऑफ 5 शीट कि हाँ ये चैप्टर मेरे को पढ़ना है, तो आई ओनली हैव टू सी दीज 5 शीट. मेरे को कोई और कॉपी नहीं खोलना है, कोई बुक नहीं खोलना है, बस ये 5 शीट एंड इट्स कंप्लीट. मतलब प्रैक्टिकल सब्जेक्ट में ऑब्वियसली फॉर solving the question answers, I need to see the book and all. लेकिन theory में भी I had my handwritten notes. Law के लिए I had a copy, which law में I did not open my book even before the exams. सिर्फ वो मेरा handwritten notes, I made sure कि वो handwritten notes इतना complete है कि मेरे को कुछ भी और पढ़ना नहीं पड़े एग्जाम्स के पहले. उससे एक तो माइंड को भी लगता है कि द क्वांटिटी इज वेरी लेस जो पढ़ना है हमको, तो दैट हेल्प मी. फिर प्रैक्टिकल सब्जेक्ट्स में फर्स्ट डिवीजन में आई ट्राई टू प्रैक्टिस ऑलमोस्ट ऑल द क्वेश्चन एक बार सॉल्व हो जाए, एंड देन साइमल्टेनियसली हर रिवीजन में आई रिड्यूस द नंबर ऑफ क्वेश्चंस. एफआर में ऐसा हुआ था कि एफआर में फर्स्ट आई आई टुक प्रवीण शर्मा सर से क्लासेस, एंड फर्स्ट डिवीजन में आई डिड उनका क्वेश्चन आंसर्स, बट आई थॉट कि मेरे को ये लगने लगा कि वो थोड़ा ज़्यादा हो जा रहा है, आई वुडंट बी एबल टू डू दैट एग्जाम के पहले. तो एफआर में व्हाट आई डिड वाज पूरे मॉड्यूल पे शिफ्ट हो गए, एंड देन आई डिड सेकेंड और थर्ड डिवीजन में आई ओनली डिड द मॉड्यूल, एंड एग्जाम्स के पहले वही मॉड्यूल्स में आई हैड प्लेस्ड स्टिकी नोट्स, बस वो पेजेस ही ओपन करके आई हैड माई नोट्स एंड द क्वेश्चन, नोट्स अलग से रेडी था एफआर का, एंड द क्वेश्चंस जिसमें स्टिकी नोट्स था कि मेरे को एग्जाम्स के पहले बस वो पेजेस फ्लिप करके वो क्वेश्चंस को देखना है. तो एफआर वैसे हेल्प किया. सेम आई डिड इन एसएफएम. डीटी आई ऑडिट एंड लॉ के लिए सेम वे एसेज को आई डिवाइडेड 120 डेज है या 130 डेज है, तो मेरे को ये 2 ऐसे डेली करना है, एंड देन साइमल्टेनियसली उसको रिवाइज करना है. तो आई टुक अ हेल्प ऑफ अ फ्रेंड, मतलब वी बोथ स्टडी टुगेदर. एसेज के लिए वी स्टडीड वन ऐसे, एंड देन क्वेश्चंस पूछ लेना कि हाँ ये ऐसे में ये टॉपिक में क्या ऑप्शन था, या फिर वैसे करके डिस्कस कर लेना. एसेज आई कंप्लीटेड लाइक दैट. ऑडिट भी पंकज गर्ग से आई टुक माई क्लासेस. फॉर सम सब चैप्टर्स आई यूज हिज मटेरियल, लेकिन फिर आई शिफ्टेड टू मॉड्यूल का ही सारा चीज पढ़ना, बिकॉज आई एक्चुअली सॉ कि बहुत सारे फैकल्टीज में ऐसे, आई एम नॉट टेलिंग कि गलत कंटेंट लिखा हुआ रहता है, लेकिन थोड़ा वे डिफरेंट रहता है. जो हम लोग टाइम अगर वो कंटेंट को पढ़ने में लगा रहे हैं, वही टाइम हम लोग जो स्टडी मटेरियल में ही वही इक्विवेलेंट टाइम लगेगा, लेकिन स्टडी मटेरियल वुड हेल्प अ लॉट मोर. सो वैसे वो हेल्प हुआ था. देन लॉ के लिए आई टुक क्लासेस फ्रॉम सिद्धार्थ अग्रवाल सर. आई वुड रिकमेंड एवरीवन, मतलब उनके वजह से आई थिंक मेरे को लॉ का ही एक ऐसा सब्जेक्ट था जिसका सिर्फ आई डिड 2 रिविजन्स, मतलब एक बार फर्स्ट रिविजन, देन डायरेक्टली एग्जाम्स के पहले जो 3 days रिविजन करना होता है वो. बट बिकॉज मेरा ट्यूशंस वो बहुत अच्छा से किया हुआ था, दैट हेल्प मी अलॉट, एंड ट्यूशंस के साथ आई मेड माई हैंड रिटन नोट्स, तो दैट हेल्प मी. उसके बाद कॉस्टिंग के लिए आई टुक क्लासेस फ्रॉम सतीश जलान सर. उनका ही बुक आई सॉल्व एवरीथिंग, मतलब ईच एंड एवरी क्वेश्चन. एंड यू नो, मतलब मेरे एग्जाम्स में जो नवंबर 22 का एग्जाम्स था, उसमें आई थिंक एवरीवन सेड कि क्वेश्चंस बहुत नया है या क्वेश्चन बहुत अलग है, बट आई कैन गारंटी कि वो एक भी क्वेश्चन ऐसा नहीं था जो मॉड्यूल में नहीं था. वो ऑल दिड इज पार्लर को एयरपोर्ट बना दिया है, रेस्टोरेंट को गेम जोन बना दिया है, सिर्फ डिफरेंस वही था और कुछ भी डिफरेंस नहीं था. तो सॉल्विंग ईच एंड एवरी क्वेश्चन कॉस्टिंग में हेल्प मी अलॉट. मेरे को कॉस्ट में वैसे बहुत हेल्प हुआ. एंड देन डीटीआई टुक क्लासेस फ्रॉम भबर बुराना सर. उनका कॉम्पैक्ट ही यूज किया था मैंने. उसके लिए मैंने हैंड रिटन नोट्स बनाया था, बट देन एट द एंड आई थॉट कॉम्पैक्ट इज मच बेटर देन माई हैंड रिटन नोट्स, तो आई शिफ्टेड टू हिज कॉम्पैक्ट ओनली. आईडीडी के लिए आई टुक क्लासेस फ्रॉम विशाल भट्टिट सर. वो सर हम लोग को नोट्स भी प्रोवाइड करते हैं, चार्ट्स भी प्रोवाइड करते हैं, बट आई टुक हेल्प ऑफ हिज चार्ट एंड प्रिपेयर्ड माई ओन नोट्स, एंड देन वही नोट्स के थ्रू आई प्रिपेयर्ड एवरीथिंग. एंड देन 6D के लिए भी इकोनॉमिक लॉ के लिए भी आई टुक क्लासेस शुभम सिंगल सर का, एंड देन ही हेल्प मी अ लॉट, क्योंकि आई थिंक 6D के लिए भी, मतलब ऐसे पीपल स्किप दैट सब्जेक्ट, लेकिन व्हाट आई डिड वाज, instead of referring YouTube videos to understand the topic, I took his classes कि मेरे पास सब कुछ एक साथ रहेगा, मेरे को जिसमें जितना भी चीज देखना है, आई डोंट हैव टू मूव हियर एंड देयर, अपना एक जगह सब है, तो माइंड थोड़ा रिलैक्स होता है. तो इसके लिए हम इसके शुभम सिंगल का क्लासेस भी ले लिए थे उसमें, एंड देन हिज नोट्स हेल्प मी उस सब्जेक्ट में. तो सिमिलरली ऐसे ही आई थिंक लॉ ऑडिट, हाँ लॉ ऑडिट, ये सारा चीज का हैंड रिटन नोट्स था जो लास्ट 1.5 days में मेरे को बहुत हेल्प किया था टू complete the entire syllabus. I did not skip even one chapter exam के पहले. एक बार ही 2 मिनट ही go through किया होगा कुछ chapters, but I went through all the chapters. That helped me. So handwritten notes also helps a lot.
Okay, fair enough, Sakshi. And Kalpesh, like Avni Jain is one of our audience. She is having a question कि उसका like self study strategy. आपने कहा आपने audit self study से किया है, and by self studying that subject you got 78 marks. So exactly what was your strategy in doing that?
See, the original plan was to take classes, but then by the end of September, October, पता था कि classes अभी लेने का time नहीं है. So I just took the book before going into examination for a place कि हाँ एक बार पढ़ लेंगे ऊपर से क्या subject है ऐसा. So I took around 1.5 months to just read once, and उसके बाद तो when I opened the book in the prep place पूरा नया था, like भी पढ़ा ही क्यों ऐसा मतलब एक feel आया. But हाँ, the time before the prep leaves I spent on audit, I had an understanding how deep the subject is. बहुत ज़्यादा deep था, बहुत ज़्यादा vast था वो subject. So as self study, what I did, as I told you, I broke the essays completely. Essays मुझे पता है 30, 35, 40 marks तो आने वाले हैं. So तो वो पढ़ना ही है daily. So essays used to be my daily thing. So I used to daily study essay, which means audit was daily. And so essay was a separate thing. And उसके अलावा audit used to be on my alternate days basically. Every alternate I used to study audit because मुझे पता था audit is such a subject that can make or break your book fun. And so that's a very, very difficult subject according to me. Okay, because in inter, I still don't remember what I had written and come. It was such a kind of paper. So I knew that I need to compensate that and I can't take the same strategy in my final. So essays used to be in the morning, 2, 3 essays, 1.5 hours. I used to study, which means that there are around 30, 35 odd essays. So 14, 15 days per round of essays. So over the course of 4 months, I would have read 4 to 5 times the essays alone. And the audit, again, I broke it down. I knew professional ethics is something where I can score on. So professional ethics, my invested a lot of time remembering the clause number and the clause का exact type I remembered. Plus the वो एक line आती है ना clause के बाद में कि हाँ ये लिखा हुआ है. For example, say वो the first clause says कि it is to protect the unqualified against वो कुछ आता है ना वो line. So that line also I made की insert. हाँ, so I just made a map कि ये clause पढ़ना है. So that was one part. And for company audit and like SEBI LODR, वो तो it's purely provision based करके. So provision को समझो आगे बढ़ो. That is the most easiest part of the whole audit. And for the other audit, as I said, it is about how you pace yourself in terms of giving how bullet points and marking the keywords really helped me with respect to audit. So that used to be the how I broke the subject. As far as how I did it with my self studies, basically I made sure audit was never far away from me more than 2 days. The audit ko padna hi hai. And audit was the most tiresome subject which I would say in my CA final because वहाँ पे याद करना और उसको बाद what I used to do basically for audit is something I used to read. I used to just close the book, go in front of a mirror, or just take a मतलब ऐसे चलते चलते बोल दिया. Imagine yourself you're taking a class in front of a student and you're just explaining it to them. So फिर see at the larger point of time, I still believe audit boils down to a lot of memory, how glorified or institute may put it is concept based. By audit is somewhere I feel it's a little memory game basically. आपको keywords तो याद करने पड़ेंगे because if you don't write the keywords, ultimately institute is not going to give you marks. So आपको you'll have to put a lot of effort. First read book बंद कीजिए उसको आप are you able to say the keywords without opening the book or something like that. You need to try out, you need to test yourself, and of course writing mock will help you. So that is how I basically broke the whole audit up. Audit as a subject आप देखने जाओगे तो बहुत बड़ा लगेगा. आप you have to break the whole subject and say wherever you are able to. For example, हाँ ये concept और ये chapters I'm a little stronger, this is somewhere we need to invest more time in. हाँ थोड़ा tiresome होगा, but I think at the end of the day it is worth it because when believe me, SFM was a little difficult this time, and we all thought that the SFM is the difficult paper of group one. Abhi to audit is going to be cakewalk. Abhi 2.5 days mila hai. But jab audit ka paper khatam hua, I saw literally people crying, and that's when I realized I had done a little decent job because I felt audit was still manageable. And you can't ever believe because audit and DT are the two papers where institute can really play with you. So I would say कि audit आप constantly touch में रहिए, because I felt that was a subject which was a little difficult for me. I gave a lot of time in audit and a subject like SCMP, so that was my strategy for for audit. And a lot of people actually feel कि essays में mark नहीं मिलते. Uh, a lot of people do not give that much importance to essays. Believe me, essays में they give full mark. Uh, Essays are really important, and you would not believe me, I scored the most marks in fact in essays. And as not to brag, but the first question which I wrote in audit, which was around, it was actually a combination of three essays. In the, I think the first question which I wrote, I'm not sure if it is 10 and 4 was some other. I actually scored 14 on 14 in the very first question which I wrote in audit. So believe me, if you properly write essays, they will give you marks. So that is something which I want to tell you, because at the end of the day, आपको पता है descriptive में तो essay 20 marks, 25 marks तो आने ही वाले. So why not you invest a good amount of time? And if you're able to convert say 15 out of 25 marks, it's still a very worth effort. So I would something suggest take a good author's material, read essays, and in fact in the new syllabus now essay तो study material में आ गया. So I think you should effort involve a good amount of time in that.
Great. तो मतलब ऑडिट जिन जिन को नाइटमेयर लगता था, सो आफ्टर हियरिंग यू दे मस्ट बी कॉन्फिडेंट कि हाँ, अगर हम थोड़ा सा इसको स्ट्रेटेजाइज करें, बराबर से प्लान करें, सो इट इज इजी टू एस, नॉट दैट डिफिकल्ट. ओके, सो ऑन अ लाइटर नोट ऑफ द सेशन, जस्ट टू आस्क कि हर अटेम्प्ट में हम देखते हैं सीए फाइनल में जो टॉप 50 में आते हैं या इवन मेनी ऑफ द थिंग, तो एक सरनेम बहुत कॉमन आता है, जैन. अक्षय जैन, अक्षत जैन, कल्पेश जैन, even Sakchi Jain, Komal Jain. So nation wants to know what is the secret of this Jain, Jain, Jain. कुछ स्पेशल आप लोगों के खाने में या anything?
अरे ऐसा तो I don't think there is something special. You can try changing your surname if that works, I would say. But I don't think that's a specific thing of Jain. Probably, I would say probably पता नहीं यार, शादी का थोड़ा pressure होता है कि 26, 27 इसके लिए तो आपको complete करना है. Probably that reason kind of motivates you. तो फिर हाँ, that was the thing. I don't think anything collectively special. I have no particular idea about that.
मतलब अब एमएससी को टीम एमएससी नोटेड डाउन, हमें नेक्स्ट सेशन पेरेंट्स के लिए रखना है, जिसमें बोलना है कि सारे सीए स्टूडेंट्स को शादी के लिए प्रेशराइज करो, सो दैट दे
अरे
आल्सो
नहीं
गेट
यार,
एआई.
तो फिर लोग मुझे चप्पल से मारेंगे यार, ऐसा कुछ मत बोलना ना.
ओके, ओवर टू यू पूर्वा.
या सो बेसिकली ना ऐसा काफ़ी कुछ होता है सुनने में कि along with your articleship CA final studies there should be an extra curriculum activity. बहुत सारे लोग विकासा टीम्स या इकासा सिकासा इनमें ज्वाइन होते हैं या बहुत सारे वॉलंटियरिंग करते हैं. सो व्हाट आर योर व्यूज साक्षी?
हाँ, मतलब सीरियसली वन एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर एक्टिविटीज है मस्ट, क्योंकि फिर वो ऑफिस और पढ़ाई के साथ इतने ज्यादा एनग्रॉस्ड हो जाते हैं, फिर उसके बाद और कोई चीज के लिए टाइम नहीं निकालो तो फिर वो आप खुद ही में थोड़ा लो फील करने लगते हो. तो एज आई टोल्ड यू, फिर हम लोग भी लाइक कोविड का टाइम था, एंड देन नहीं, आई गेस कोविड के पहले, एंड देन ऑफिस के साथ कुछ तो और करना था. तो मतलब बहुत ज्यादा यहाँ पे हम और सब चीज में एक्टिव नहीं थे. लाइक so I started my Instagram page for like handmade good products and all, for gift hampers and everything. I told Purva about this. तो that helped me कि हाँ, ऑफिस के बाद भी, क्योंकि आई लाइक being creative, तो वो थोड़ा एक टाइम पास उससे हो जाता था, तो थोड़ा माइंड लाइट हो जाता था. एंड देन so I think many of my friends are like किसी किसी को पोएम्स लिखने का शौक है, तो they spare out like हाफ एन आवर डे या फिर वीक में 1 या 2 आवर्स की पोएम्स पे, या फिर कोई सेशन अटेंड करना ऑन, मतलब नॉट ऑनलाइन सेशंस, लाइक कोई लाइक देयर आर स्पीकिंग सेशंस ना कि आई एम नॉट एबल टू गेट द नेम.
टोस्ट मास्टर्स आई गेस.
हाँ, टोस्ट मास्टर्स जैसे ही कुछ वैसा कुछ ज्वाइन कर लेना कि थोड़ा टाइम पढ़ाई और ऑफिस के अलावा भी कहीं और पोएट्री सेशंस एंड ऑल, हाँ, कि उस पर भी थोड़ा फोकस कर ले एंड थोड़ा माइंड डाइवर्ट हो जाता है. आई थिंक इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि एक एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर एक्टिविटी आपके पास हो करने के लिए.
एंड व्हाट्स योर व्यूज कल्पेश?
Yeah, I would very much concur with what she's telling, because I see what happens is you get into the cycle, office studies and all these things. Ultimately, if I take those things away from you, what identity do you have? what else do you have to showcase? So for me personally, as I said you, when I was in college, I had gone into a lot of inter-college events, which gave me a total different identity. As you know, people, in fact, a lot of people did not know that I was doing CA. When I actually joined my articleship, a lot of people actually started asking me, "Are you doing CA?" So it gave me a whole different identity than a person who was doing a CA. So it gives you a different identity. Number two, आपका जितना soft skill networking बढ़ता है ना, I think that plays a real important part. Even as you said, which you wanted to start with a small venture, but the people you meet there ultimately, आपको you might know, you might even not know when the connection might help you. So networking is something which is very plays a very valuable role when you do an extracurricular activities. And third thing is that आपको वो एक relief मिलता है, एक kind of satisfaction that yes, you're doing something which interests you, which you can go back every single day and look forward to doing. For me, it was going out and participating in events. Predominantly, I like events which are say which involve public speaking, say debate, the lawyers of something like that, presentation. So even once I finished my, of course, in the articleship, the quantum did reduce, but I was also part of a lot of, I was part of a national conferences which happened. So I was part of all these things, and in fact, you can enroll yourself in any of the student committees of ICA. Also, that is a very good way of showcasing your talent. Ultimately, believe me, when a company recruits you, you are a qualified chartered accountant. There are hundreds of it. The only thing that is going to matter is how different you are, and only this is the place which can differentiate. It can be as simple skill as knowing to cook and doing something out of it, and it can be as extraordinary as doing something else also. So I feel it's really important because of the two reasons. It gives you an identity and it gives you satisfaction more than anything else, I would feel.
Great. So,
Yeah.
like as you mentioned, there should be events. So, MSc is also having a portal जहाँ पे ICI and Vikasa जितने भी events organize करते हैं, all the events are listed there for the students. You could all check out the events in all over the India. सारे student committees जो भी events organize करती है, it's on the MSc portal. You could go there, register, and just go and showcase your talents in that event. I would request the team members to please post the link of the event portal in the comments. Sure. So before moving towards the last part of Q&A of our session, on a lighter note, I would like to ask two more silly questions to you. If not CA, what would you have been? Sakshi?
I don't know. I had मतलब starting से बस वो starting में था कि starting में I was not sure कि CA करना है, and then CA के अंदर enrollment कराने के बाद it was like अब CA ही करना है, तो I never gave a second thought कि मेरे को और क्या करना चाहिए, तो I have never explored this side of me.
Okay. And Kalpesh, what about you?
Yeah. So if not for CA, I would be sitting in my father's office right now. Is something which I felt, or if an alternate career option I would have pursued, a law is something. So probably looking down, said, yeah, if CA did not work out, so these are the two things which I would have probably ended up doing.
Okay. So if you get a chance to go out on a dinner with any of the famous business person or any of the finance enthusiast, who would it be? Kalpesh?
It would be Elon Musk. Obviously, for the
Great.
reason, so that guy is amazing. So for some reason, yeah, it would be Elon Musk.
And Sakshi?
I don't have an answer to that right now.
Okay. No worries. So, shall we move on to our last part of the session, that is the Q&A. So, I think Yash Anchali has raised his hand for quite a long. So, Yash, you could answer. You could ask your question.
My question would be to the Kalpesh. Means what do you think what will be the upper edge for you of the others? Means आपको ऐसा क्या अलग लगा कि जो आपको AI 2 बनाया बाकी सबसे, जो मतलब आपको लगता है कि जो आपने क्या कुछ अलग किया?
I understood. So I think, see, again, the question to answer is people who get an all India rank or people who clear or people who fail are particularly no different. Up to syllabus, technicality to sabko aati hai. I think how committed you are to the process. I think if a person is committed, say 80-90% to the process, religiously, I think he gets up and rank. If a person is not committed enough, probably he might have to, write the exams again. I think it's about the commitment which you make to the process. And two particular things which I would like to point out, not only to get an all India rank, but anything in your life would be consistency. I still remember कि in the period of 120 days, there will be only 3 days where I did not end up studying, say 8 to 9 hours per day, because the 3 days to actually I was not well. But I ensured the rest 117 days, irrespective what happens, it was 8 to 9 hours. I was clocking on an average, irrespective what happens, because I knew I did not want to study these books for the next time. The thought of it scared a lot of me. And obviously, the second thing up, you have to have a positive aspiration. You have to be hell bent positive about yourself. आपको बहुत ज़्यादा doubt आएगा आपके ऊपर कि whether you're capable or not and all this thing. And you have to have positive mindset. आपका ambition, आपका aspiration should be really high. You have to put yourself कि हाँ. So if people are saying कि हमें सिर्फ पास होना, your thought process should be to get 80 plus in that subject. So that should be something which should aim. So be positive about your aspirations and have the consistency. I think that should be a great combination to put yourself apart from everybody. Something which I feel every single person you interact with being successful, they'll tell you these are the traits. And even I felt before giving my exams कि ये क्या है, मतलब सभी लोग एक ही आंसर दे रहे. But sitting on this side, I feel अभी this is the answer which only you can give. So I think that is something which can set you apart.
Okay, Aditi, you could ask.
As you know that only 2 months are left for the exam, and I have completed my first revision. But the thing is, I get to know that some things are there which I'm not able to recollect. Although when I study, I get to know that yes, I studied this late at a previous time. But still, there is something that keeps doubting. I keep doubting myself that will I be able to revise it again twice in the next 2 months or not.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Yeah. So, I mean, even I was in the same phase. Like first reading ke baad, I had only 2 months. Obviously, after first reading, it's collectively you will just remember 20% of syllabus, because the syllabus itself is so vast. So, I'll just give you a small parallel. I say, assuming there are say 100 things in your room, and if I tell you to list down all the 100 things in your room, it is possible you might end up missing on a lot of things to list down. For example, so that is the case. But if I tell you whether a particular thing is there in the room or not, there's a 90% chance that you might end up answering it correct. That is the same case with CA. आपका syllabus बहुत ज़्यादा वास्ट है. जब आपको when you see on an overall basis आपको लगता है कि हाँ ये छूट गया. बट अगर आपको मैं स्पेसिफिकली एक क्वेश्चन या कॉन्सेप्ट पूछा तो आपको डेफिनेटली 90% चांस है कि आपको याद होगा. सो दैट इज वन थिंग, बिकॉज इट इज सो वास्ट. आपको ऐसा लगता है कि हाँ I might have not studied, the confidence is not coming. Believe me, even before the day of exam, आपको ऐसा लगेगा कि कुछ और पढ़ लेना चाहिए. So that is something which every student goes through. As I said, yes, 2 months, 2 revision. If you have done your first reading, I think it will be fairly possible, and just stick on to the process. हो जाएगा. I think there's no doubt in that. If you be consistent, put the equal amount of hours, I think it's possible.
Okay, thank you.
Ishan, you could ask.
Yes, my question is with Kalpesh. भाई मैं एक्चुअली पूछ रहा था कि आपने स्टार्ट जब किया था सीए फाइनल की स्टडीज, तब आपने एक सब्जेक्ट से चालू किया या 2 सब्जेक्ट में, 1 थ्योरी 1 प्रैक्टिकल? एंड आपका टाइमलाइन क्या था कि जैसे 8 सब्जेक्ट है तो 2 साल में मतलब कैसे कंप्लीट करना है? फर्स्ट ईयर 4 सब्जेक्ट्स या फर्स्ट ईयर में थोड़ा स्लो मूव ऑन करना है?
So I understand your question. So basically, it was not about practical or theory as such. It was about which subject had the least amendment, which subject will stably remain the same. See, for example, subjects like FR, SFM, या आपका audit law हो गया, it's going to be relatively the same, and subjects like IDT, DT, it's going to be different. So I started out with SFM, FR. I probably then moved out to say NDT, IDT. So eventually that, because I did self for rest of the subject. So since I started a little late, that is 7 months into my articleship, I never felt that I had a lot of time. So I ensured that, as I said, I broke it down to this much time I have per subject. Itna time aa raha hai, will I be able to complete? So that was the kind of strategy which I felt was something which I did for going on to my completion of each and every subject.
यानी आप एक बार में एक ही सब्जेक्ट पढ़ते थे?
हाँ, एक बार में एक ही सब्जेक्ट.
अच्छा, तो जैसे आप ऑडिट पढ़ रहे थे शुरू में, तो आपको ये नहीं लगता था कि मतलब लास्ट तक तो ये अपन ये सब भूल जाएंगे, तो आप कुछ नोट्स वगैरह अलग से बनाते थे ऑडिट के लिए?
हाँ, तो वो था कि हाँ भूल जाऊंगा, वो दैट इज वेरी मच प्रैक्टिकल। आई स्टिल रिमेंबर एसएफएम का भी मैंने जब खोला था फर्स्ट में, मुझे वोल्टर्स गॉर्डन मॉडल सभी भूल गया था, मतलब ऐसा था। हाँ, तो दैट इज समथिंग विच यू कैन नॉट अवॉइड, इज समथिंग आई फील अगर आपके पास टाइम मिले तो यू कैन ट्राई डूइंग रिविजन्स, इज समथिंग विच आई रिकमेंड, दो आई डिड नॉट डू दैट। आप थोड़ा रिवाइज कीजिए, इसी इवेंचुअली आपको एग्जाम 18-20 months बाद देनी है, सो even the best of your efforts sometimes you will end up not remembering the subject. So don't worry a lot about that. Your first immediate focus should be on how well are you able to understand the concept, because conceptually आपको अगर समझ में आ रहा है, that will stick for you in the long run, rather than the fact that कि आपको भूल जाएगा, ऐसा तो don't think, because it is very practical possible that you might end up not remembering a lot of things. So that is where a simultaneous revision after a few days would come into picture. Is something what I would say.
ओके, सो मेरा टारगेट यही रहना चाहिए ना कि मतलब जैसे फर्स्ट ईयर है तो मतलब अभी फर्स्ट ईयर में मैं 4 सब्जेक्ट्स कंप्लीट करूँ एंड सेकंड ईयर में 4, ताकि 2 साल में मेरे कंप्लीट हो जाए 8 सब्जेक्ट्स।
That should be the ideal plan, given the time you have. I wouldn't say four exactly, but depending on the number of days you have and the number of subjects remaining, you can plan it out. This 4+4 looks it's just a starting point. How you can plan your approach to something you can do, because I feel either the आपको सिर्फ 8 subject you need not take classes on the same length. For example, FR बहुत बड़ा है compared to that say paper like if you're taking economics, वो बहुत छोटा है, SCM भी थोड़ा छोटा है, डीटी बड़ा है। सो आपको ये प्लान आउट करना चाहिए कि हाँ, अगर आप पहले 4 बड़े बड़े सब्जेक्ट अगर उठाओगे तो टाइम लगेगा, दैट डजंट मीन यू आर ऑन द रॉन्ग ट्रैक। सो आपको ये भी थोड़ा फैक्टर इन करना पड़ेगा।
ओके, प्लीज कैन यू शेयर योर सम नोट्स इफ यू आर मतलब आपको चलता है तो
Yeah,
आपके
I
कुछ
can
नोट्स
share,
वगैरह?
but I probably not have many as her because I did not write much notes, to be very honest. It was just scribbling on the side of the study material, that's all. I will try if I have something.
ओके ओके, थैंक यू।
Yeah.
साक्षी, वन क्वेश्चन आई वुड लाइक टू आस्क टू यू, लाइक ऐसा बोलते हैं कि फास्ट लिखने के चक्कर में हमारी हैंडराइटिंग इतनी अच्छे से नहीं निकलती है, सो हाउ इम्पोर्टेंट इज प्रेजेंटेशन एंड हैंडराइटिंग इन द एग्जामिनेशन?
See, I think presentation and handwriting is very important. मतलब it's not very important, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं, आप ऐसा मत लिखो कि सामने एग्जामिनर आपका राइटिंग समझ ही नहीं पाए। इट्स नॉट इम्पोर्टेंट कि आप बहुत ज्यादा एकदम डेकोरेट करके वैसे करके लिख रहे हो, बट राइटिंग इन सच अ वे कि सामने वाला समझ पाए कि आप क्या लिख रहे हो, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। एंड देन प्रेजेंटेशन के लिए यू कैन लीव गैप्स, मतलब एग्जैक्टली रूलर से लाइन ड्रॉ करना इज नॉट इम्पोर्टेंट, लेकिन यू कैन लीव एडिक्वेट अमाउंट ऑफ स्पेस कि आपका जो आप लिखे हो वो क्लियरली सामने वालों को समझ में आए कि हाँ ये चीज मेंशन है पेपर में, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट।
ओके, लाइक हमें पूरा टाइम प्रेजेंटेशन पे ध्यान दे के लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है, बिकॉज मेनी ऑफ द टाइम ऐसा होता है कि थेरोटिकल सब्जेक्ट में काफी लोग बोलते हैं कि वहां पर हैंडराइटिंग का रोल बहुत ज्यादा होता है, अगर किसी की समझ नहीं आई तो पूरा ही स्क्रैच हो जाएगा। सो दैट वाज द रीजन आई आस्क्ड यू दिस।
हाँ, मतलब ऐसे मेंशन करो कि सामने वाला आप समझ पाए कि आप लिख क्या रहे हो, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट।
Vanshita Kalantri, you could ask.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you're on.
Yes. So hi Kalpesh. Actually, I saw your video with Bhavar Burana. So just after your results got out, so I was following the same. Being very honest, sorry, but copy pasting the same. So I had those test series scheduled and everything. I was studying like crazy. I'm an industrial trainee, so I just have 3 months ka exam leave. Okay, so I came back from Mumbai on first. I was studying like crazy, and 15 ko boom, there comes a notification that I am not eligible for November 23 exam. This happened with many students. If you have seen LinkedIn,
Yeah. Yeah.
some illogical policies. I'm sorry. So now the thing is, I have just 2 months of exam leave left for May.
Okay.
And now because of that break, like वो mindset ही change हो गया है. I mean, I'm not able to get that पुराना वाला pace in study. I'm not getting able to collect things now because it's very disturbing, frustrating,
Okay.
disturbing, irritating, everything. So now I don't know how to come back into the same pace.
Okay. So just tell me that your industrial gets over by when? By
So the thing is, my completion is on 1st May, and due to that 1 day delay, I'm not eligible in November 23 exam.
Okay, okay. So you have exhausted. Okay. So I mean, I don't know how the office policy works here, but you can try and get extra 1 month of leave, and probably you can compensate by serving
No,
it after your okay.
so
Okay, it
there's a
doesn't work.
stringent
Yeah.
policy that only 2 months.
Okay. Uh, so probably since you see, I'm not a very right person to be very honest to be advising on this because some things I'm not gone personally. Other if something had happened to me, I don't know how would have reacted. But what I would say from how do you approach your exams is basically since you have only 2 months, try to allot some of your time in the day, probably in the morning to read a subject to try so because आपको first reading आपको वो 2 महीने के पहले आपको cover up करना चाहिए यहाँ पे is what I personally feel ताकि आप will be able to जब आपको 2 महीने मिले 2 रिवीजन करो और खत्म करो एग्जाम so that should be your plan. सो आपको जितना पॉसिबल अभी तो टाइम है थोड़ा आपके पास मई में 2 महीने मिलेंगे मतलब आई प्रॉब्ली आई एम कंज्यूमिंग फेब्रुवरी मार्च एंड अप्रैल शुड बी द टाइम सो बाय द एंड ऑफ फेब्रुवरी ट्राई टू गिव अ गुड अमाउंट ऑफ रीडिंग आपका एक सॉलिड बेस बन जाए ताकि व्हेन यू गो ऑन द फर्स्ट डे आपको रिवीजन ही करना पड़े सो दैट इज समथिंग यू कैन डू अभी फॉर द थिंग्स दैट हैव हैपेंड या आई हैव हर्ड अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल ये एक दिन की वजह से 2 दिन की वजह से समटाइम्स अ वीक वो छूट जाता है just from a very unbiased perspective, I would say it has happened something which is not in our favor. I know it's very difficult for you to, I mean, because for me, I don't know what it feels like. So it would be like, please, Abhi, you cannot think a lot on that. Abhi ho gaya. So let's just probably put this apart. Just face the upcoming exams and don't spoil that opportunity is something which I would like to advise because it doesn't matter if you become a CA 6 months later. Ultimately, no one is going to remember this something happened eventually in your life. So I would feel, in fact, if you end up clearing in May 24, it would just give an inspirational story to a lot of people. Ki something like this happened of sorts and you bounced back. And it would inspire a lot of people is something what I say. I cannot again say I'll be able to relate to your position to be very honest. But yeah, from a very neutral perspective, this has happened. You can try to forget. It would be a little, in fact, a lot difficult to do that. Uh, Try to capitalize on this by giving extra time. Now you have a little extra time. थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट है हाँ थोड़ा एक्स्ट्रा टाइम है आपका 2 महीना मिलेगा 2 महीना रिवाइज एक बार कीजिए 2 बार रिवाइज कीजिए एंड आई थिंक दैट शुड बी अ स्ट्रेटजी आई गेस
Thank you so much.
yeah
Yeah,
yeah yeah
you were saying something?
no if Sakshi want to add something probably she can
Yeah,
add to
Sakshi,
it
please.
with some
No, no, I absolutely agree with Kalpesh. Like, I think you can only do what you can only do is capitalize on this and think you got some extra time to like study for your exams and not think about what you can't change now. Like, I know that will be difficult, but that is the only thing you can do right now.
Thank you.
Hello.
yes
Yeah. So my question is to Sakshi. Sakshi, looking at your reach and LinkedIn, my one question to you is, apart from the general things, how do you, manage out or filter out what content should be posted, and how do you target a specific niche audience?
See, right now, like I was focusing mainly on the student side or for CA freshers, like that would help them. So that is how I filter my content. Like I want to post content only about the content which would help the students as well as the CA freshers. So, or maybe something which is very general that everyone could relate, like a topic for not being consistent or not being able to focus, something which is very general and everyone could relate to, or something which could help the students out there.
Okay.
Yeah, so Kanika, you may ask.
Hi everyone. My name is Kanika. So, hi Kalpesh and Sakshi. My question is for both of you. Actually, I am also a CA finalist, and I right now I spent 1 and 5 years in my firm. I'm from Big Four. Right now, I am looking for industrial training. So I want to ask, is it like good to go for industrial training if you are in one of the Big Four? And what should I do? Like, I haven't started studying yet. I mean, like I've started, but the again same thing. I started with FR, एंड वो इतना लेंथी रहता है कि पढ़ने का मन ही नहीं करता। तो कुछ इन डेज कवर किए उसके बाद लाइक नहीं अब नहीं हो रहा मन नहीं करता तो वो सब चीजें हैं। तो व्हाट शुड आई डू इन दिस सिचुएशन राइट नाउ?
Yeah, so I think what you should do is first like decide what is your priority, like clearing examinations या फिर getting a good exposure. Matlab, since you are already in a big four, so according to me, it might not be a good option for you, but according to me, like you should decide ki because you know if you'll go for industrial training, then you as you said ki abhi tak you have not started studying properly, so you will have much less time than compared to situation right now. So you should decide ki what is important for you to get an exposure या फिर to clear the exams in the first attempt. It's not like if you go, sorry,
No, Rajat is agreeing with what you are saying.
yeah. So I think that is the thing it should be it's completely your choice. You should decide ki kya important hai. It's not like if you will go for industrial training, you will not be able to complete it, see in the first attempt, but decide ki see your pace and see how much syllabus you can cover along with that industrial training and then decide on this.
Yeah,
Anything Kalpesh would like to add?
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think fair enough. Whatever point, I think today your priority should be CA finals than anything else. आपके पास already before का exposure है. The only good side, see, whenever even if you plan to join industrial training, my advice would be to get into good roles. For example, into here, like for example, ABG is there, for example, BCG is there, or you can get into good kind of roles. Mandela is okay. I don't know where you stay from, but yeah, get into good industrial roles. Don't get into industrial for the sake of getting into it. Get into good because at the end of it, remember, one big advantage of getting into industrial training is you will have a PPO in place. PPO is basically pre-placement offer. आपके पास होगा the moment you clear your CA finals, and that is a big advantage because I'm facing because currently the market is a little down in terms of the recruitment market is that's a big advantage in case of industrial. But the bottom line remains same. आप big four में हो या industrial में हो, आपको तो classes complete करनी है. So that is the underlying thing. Even if you decide to join or not to join, will you be able to complete is the question mark. It is not because कि अभी हाँ big four में आप हो तो you will be able to complete, or I think you equal efforts will go in either of the cases is what I particularly feel. हाँ, if it is a good industrial training option, then you should definitely consider it. हाँ, आपको brand name definitely मिलेगा आपके profile के ऊपर, लेकिन हाँ, whatever you choose, your ultimate target should be CA final in the very first attempt should be your target. आपको वो prioritize करना पड़ेगा is what I particularly feel.
Also, one more thing, is it still like good thing to reconsider? Like we can aim for a rank at this time for at this point of time.
I think again, rank is something you don't. There is no time for it to aiming. If you will still aspire for a rank, you can still aspire for a rank. It doesn't mean you are there. See, for example, there was a friend of mine. He just started his class, say 7 or 8 months before his preparation. He was in industrial training. He ended up getting a rank. So it doesn't matter whether you are going to aspire for a rank today or tomorrow. I mean, there is no time for you to aim for a rank. It is just a matter of the mindset कि हाँ मुझे लाना है, तो you will eventually end up getting it. So you will also have to work towards it. Merely just aiming wouldn't work. I think it should be doing. But there is no time. There's no time bound basically. अभी आपको last 8 महीने भी you can aspire for a rank in your exam, so that doesn't really count. But yeah, so that is something I would say.
Thank you so much, Kalpesh and Sakshi.
Yeah.
Okay, last two questions will be taking just Anand.
Good evening, everyone. Uh, So I recently cleared my CA intermediate, and my question is that I'm looking for the articleship. So if I join a mid-sized firm, so is there any added advantage or disadvantage for joining mid-sized firm or the top firms?
I think, see, a little advantage if you get into Big Four, once you qualify is that some recruiters might want a Big Four ka experience on candidates some days. So that is a little advantage if you get into Big Four. Having said that, if you get a proper upper tier Indian firm, I think that is also very much fine. So there should not be much difference. The only thing you should be looking is how much exposure will you be able to get into if you get into the mid-sized firm. So I have not done my articleship from a Big Four, but wherever I've done my articleship, I've got a great combination of tax, internal audit. So the exposure was very good over there. I saw listed to like a smallest of client to a listed entities as well and US clients as well. So speak with people who are working there to get an understanding. In case you get a Big Four, probably you can also consider that, given the fact that sometimes a Big Four on your profile looks good. Having said that, it's a very personal choice one wants to aspire, because if you get into Big Four, you'll be probably put out in a particular department. The reason I did not choose to go for a Big Four is I wanted to explain a lot of domains in which I have my interest, and eventually I understood that I did not want to do any of the work which they gave me basically over the 3 years. So that is something I got a clarity on. So that is an added advantage if you get into this Indian sized firm. So that is something you can consider. But if you're pretty sure कि मुझे सिर्फ इसमें ही काम करना है, I'm okay with trading a profile for say a particular department, then Big Four should be. Of course, you can always make a transfer to another Big Four, but again, only two of the Big Fours take transfer cases, so that also should be something to consider. But you can always consider Big Four. So that is my opinion.
So, but if I get a chance to join top size firm, but they offer me the internal audit domain only, and so should I join the top size firm or should I join the mid size firm, sir?
Okay, so again, that depends on your interest, whether you want to explore all the profiles, whether internal audit is something. See, I really understand your question because it's a dilemma which I was facing, because अभी हाँ बोलेंगे लोग internal audit tax, आपको पता ही नहीं है वो उसमें काम क्या होने वाला है. So that is the reason I chose for a mid-sized firm. The only thing would be to speak with the people inside, the quality of the work and all such. But if you're getting a Big Four ka tax, yeah, stat, I think it should be, you can definitely consider that. I'm not sure about how internal audit works, but yeah, that would be my opinion. You can always, any day given, consider a Big Four. Is something which I feel.
So if I join the mid-size firm, so it would be not be a disadvantage for me if like for after qualification.
No, so it is not going to be disordered. See, a lot of things post qualification, interviews, some interviews a lot. See, if there are 10 interviews, 10 companies, I mean, probably one or two companies might just shortlist the candidate with the Big Four ka experience. Okay, that is one given factor which you can't change. Okay, see, the reason I could not get into Big Four was because there was a hiring freeze when I actually went into May 2020. After that, there was a deferment. So that's going to be one or two companies which are not for that. That should not be the basis of your choosing the selection. It's probably if you really want to explore a lot of fields, probably mid-size would be a great option. And if you want to properly get a brand name, Big Four would be a greater place to start with. So that is something you see. Mid-size is never. So also say, having said that, but don't enter into the low level of Indian firms, because probably then you might not get into the good exposure. Try for the good Indian firms is what something which probably has a decent amount of clientele and exposure is something which I would say.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay, I think we'll just take one question of Jay and then we'll wrap up with the session. Jay, you may ask.
Hello, Kalpesh. Hello, Sakchi. I recently cleared my CA intermediate examinations, and I know for a fact like एक बार पास कर देते हैं ना, उसके बाद में अलग इंसाइट मिलता है एग्जामिनेशंस के लिए. So like different like अभी आपका फाइनल क्लियर हुआ है रिसेंटली, तो कोई ऐसा इंसाइट अपार्ट फ्रॉम लाइक मॉक टेस्ट एंड ऑल जो आपको फाइनल क्लियर करने के बाद में ज्यादा आपको ऐसा ज्यादा क्लियर समझ में आता है, जो कि आपको लाइक स्टार्ट होता है So ना क्योंकि हेल्प कर सकता है अभी हमको फाइन
See, as such, uh, inside something special would not be, as I said you. Uh, so one insight would be a very simple that final is achievable, rank is achievable. Don't take the inhibitions that it is too difficult. It is only for the cream layer of the population who are absolute genius. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. ठीक है, it is another exam. Treat it like another exam. हाँ, जो आप पहले मेहनत किया उससे थोड़ा extra 10-20% लगेगा is something which I feel you should. So there will be air around you which is going to tell CA difficult है, final difficult है, rank difficult है, new syllabus आ रहा है, ऐसा वैसा article shift में you will probably not get enough time. But believe me, all these things a lot of people say, but it all depends on how you perceive these things. So having a positive outlook towards these things really matters. And positive means it doesn't mean कि हाँ अभी एकदम हम I came and spoke to you at positive. It is about having that positivity over a regular point of time. हाँ थोड़ा period आएगा demotivation का, that doesn't mean you're going to doubt yourself. So something which I would say is everything is achievable and manageable. ठीक है आपका. See, basically, if a human is put into a choice, कि हाँ, if it is a game of death or life, obviously he will put every single effort to live. It is as simple as that. So जो होना है वो तो रहेगा. But I just say everything is possible is something which I would like to give an insight, and उसके हिसाब से plan your things and have a positive outlook toward the whole approach. Something which I would say.
Thank you. And Sakshi, anything you would like to add?
I completely agree with Kalpesh. मतलब एग्जाम्स देने के बाद once as you gave your intermediate exams ऐसा लगा हो कि intermediate exam was not very. I'm not saying CA finals is easy, लेकिन एग्जाम्स देने के बाद ऐसा होगा कि बस all you need to do is be consistent. वो एग्जाम देने के बाद पता चला कि it is not कि बहुत ज्यादा टफ है CA finals, but इट रिक्वायर्स कंसिस्टेंसी. बस वो अगर वो 6 मंथ्स या लास्ट का 4 मंथ्स भी आप अच्छे से कंसिस्टेंट रहो तो आप इजीली सीए फाइनल क्लियर कर सकते हो. बट कंसिस्टेंसी इज द की. दैट्स ऑल आई लर्नड आफ्टर गिविंग द एग्जामिनेशन.
Thank you. Thank you.
ग्रेट. सो संकल्प का दिस यही मोटिव था कि जितने भी स्टूडेंट्स थे उनकी सारी क्वेरीज रिलेटिंग टू सीए फाइनल एंड ऑल दे would ask you freely and get it cleared. So I think team MSc has succeeded in their agenda of today's session, and I also thank Sakshi and Kalpesh for being present here for such a long time. It is almost more than 1.5 hours, so thank you so very much for that.
I believe Srishti has lost her network or something like that. There's some network issue at her end. So thanks on behalf of Srishti and Purva. I would like to thank Sakshi, Kalpesh, both of you. Like your time, useful time, like 1.5 hours attending this session, guiding our students, aspirants out over here. And basically ऐसा होता है ना कि most of the times हमारे पास आपने वो जर्नी में कुछ एक्सपीरियंस किया हुआ होता है, तो आप जब वो शेयर करोगे तो मतलब उनको काफी यूजफुल हो जाता है. ऐसा मतलब बाकी यहाँ पे इन जनरल होता नहीं है कि कोई जाके गाइड करे, इसलिए प्लेटफॉर्म हमने जो बनाया था एंड ये सेशन ऑर्गेनाइज किया था, एंड आई बिलीव टू सम एक्सटेंट वी हैव बीन सक्सेसफुल इन दिस. So thank you Kalpesh, thank you Sakshi, both of you coming up over here, guiding all the aspirants out there. Thanks a lot. And so apart from this, just to summarize, मतलब आपने इतना सब कुछ बोला है, मतलब जर्नी कितनी इम्पोर्टेंट है ये सीए की. लाइक आपके पास आप जो भी पढ़ाई कर रहे हो, आप डे कर रहे हो, सुबह पढ़ते हो, शाम में पढ़ते हो, आपके हिसाब से आपका जो वर्क शेड्यूल है उस हिसाब से जस्ट कंटिन्यू डूइंग इट. आपके हाथ में जो चीजें है वो कंटिन्यू करो, सो यू विल रीच समवेयर. Like I believe that's more than enough and a pretty motivational session for all those aspirants जो especially अभी November 23 में papers देने वाले हैं. I guess एक मस्त booster मिला होगा उनको and बस लग जाओ पढ़ाई पे and let's get going यार. Thanks a lot.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So yeah, I just
Thank you
want to
so
say one
much.
thing. If guys you want, yeah. So in guys you want to, you don't have anything, you just feel free to connect with me also. So I'll try to address a lot of things, but yeah, you can just reach out to me something which I want to. I made a conscious effort to give it back to the fraternity because a lot of seniors and my peers helped me a lot. So I just want to give it back to them. So yeah.
Yeah, that's same for
And I
me.
hope I am connected to this community. I just really love the fascination and the kind of commitment to create a fraternity like this. I think it's really commendable. So I think a lot of appreciation also you guys deserve. So yeah, a great job.
It was a wonderful session. I learned a lot from Kalpesh too. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, I learned a lot from her basically. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much you both, Sakshi and Kalpesh. आप लोग यहाँ रहे इतनी देर हमारे साथ, and thank you so much to all our audience for attending the session. So ending with the note कि संघर्ष and संकल्प इस चीज से सब कुछ हो सकता है. So thank you so much. We all will definitely become chartered accountant one day, and we'll be seeking guidance from you both, and we'll be disturbing you also. So forgive us for that.
Yeah. The only good thing is, मतलब the good thing was this name Samkalp had my name also in it. So the first four letters of my name, the name also in it. So yeah, it's a good name, I would say.
Let's conclude the session. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, bye. All the best, everyone.
All the
Take care.
best.
Thank you, Kalpesh. Thank you, Sakshi.
Bye.